committees? Well, I can't call to order without.
Right.
Veronica. Oh, one more minute. Is she in the chamber? In the Great Hall?
I think Beth was meeting with.
How are you, Jerry?
How are you?
I'm here. We don't have to read the vacancy.
No.
And we have the volunteer form.
Everyone, we're just gonna be a couple minutes late. We're waiting for Veronica to show up in order to get a quorum.
Did you find her?
Yeah.
And, okay, so we're just calling to order once, 5:45, and continue on.
Well, they have to call the joint meeting to order too.
Yeah, I know that, but as far as am I going to is the select board gonna adjourn?
The joint meeting with the school committee, yes.
Okay, that's not on here. Yes,
No, I didn't put that in the motion.
and you have it under 3.1 as 5:45, and but 2.1 is 6 o'clock.
I think that's fine. It doesn't need to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a copy of the agenda in the hall?
Yeah, it's right over there hanging on the
Thank you.
plastic cubby there. Jerry, it's hanging on the wall there. Yep.
Okay.
That's where they'll always be,
Okay,
Yep.
all right, thank you.
of course.
We'll be there in a minute.
Hey, Sam.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Sam,
How's everybody here?
Good. You?
Excellent.
We're here.
Yeah, it's a good step.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
good, how are you?
I'm here.
Good, I'm glad to see it.
I'm here to talk about this as well as everything else.
You're here to talk about what?
This.
Well, of course, that's what we're all here for.
So, since, a joint meeting hasn't been called for you guys, it's gonna be 3 people or less. Cause you can't have a quorum.
What if we have a form?
We can't have the meeting then. Or someone needs to
Well, the
politely.
work session was allowed.
Is that allowed?
Not to my knowledge.
No,
Well,
cause,
I thought a work session could be allowed. I mean, we can't take a vote, obviously.
They're not here to take a vote, they're here to discuss.
Right.
okay, that might be a distinction I'm not familiar with, but that might be true.
Okay, everyone. Will, sorry that we're a little late, but I'm going to call the joint meeting of the selectmen and the North Middlesex Regional School District School Committee to order at 5:51 p.m. And if I could have a roll call vote for the selectmen.
Veronica Cal present.
And Laura Schifrin present. I'm gonna go into the preliminaries right now. We'll just get going with the school board. Would you like to call your meeting to order, Will?
I don't believe we need to because we don't have a quorum. We only have myself, Lisa, and Randy seem to be here, so we don't need to call it. We have to have 5 for a quorum, so.
I'm gonna just step out for a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Veronica, I think, got a text message from Kim.
Oh.
So if we can hold off for,
Okay. Always something new.
we adapt. Sabrina, is it true that a work session could have a quorum for?
I'm not sure.
I think we can, but I don't think we can vote on anything.
Right. If that's the distinction, then I'm okay with it. I'm not familiar with all the rules regarding that.
Yeah, we have done that too before, Nelson. We've
Okay,
had a full group as a work session.
okay, all right.
Not posted?
I mean, we posted it as a work session, votes were not going to be taken.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah, they didn't post at all. Dawn didn't
No, you're
post.
not posted.
Yeah,
at
so, so it has to be 3 people or less.
Okay.
And what was,
If somebody shows up, can I bow out and just sit in the background?
Dawn's here.
I am, but if Mary Jane gets here, I hadn't received an email back from her. So one of us will get that.
Yeah, we're talking
Right
about,
now, there's just 3 of you, so that's not a problem.
Well, I would be
Right.
glad to take off.
Well,
Seriously.
I had
ran
sent
to
you
get
an
here.
email to try to ask you.
Yeah,
And then
whatever.
I said, yeah, please don't come in on Zoom, and you came in person.
Yeah, did you get mine? Because I thought you were replying to me as well as everybody else.
No, I was just straight to you on that one. It's gonna
Okay.
be-
Um,
So, but
You be
I
here,
haven't
Sam?
got anything since this morning.
Yeah.
I haven't looked since this
yeah,
morning.
okay.
There's no, we're still fighting the weather. Now we're digging ditches in ice
Yeah.
to get the water
Are you
around.
coming Saturday morning then?
Should that be?
I might and might not.
Okay,
um,
whatever.
Yeah. We having one Thursday?
I think
So
We,
scheduled.
we do have one scheduled for Thursday.
As the season goes on, and we end this particular season.
Yeah.
I would like to have a long discussion with whoever is involved
Mhm.
with what we can do about this problem. Some of these pages are unreadable even with my glasses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the ones that are, when I take them, I can read them a bit with a magnifying glass, but by the time I get from what I'm talking about to the number and listening, I'm lost again.
This has been my
Yeah.
time.
Well,
I'm not an expert in any way, shape or form with Excel. But I do know well that we used to have the Excel sheets handed to us.
And, yeah,
And that they can all be broken down by each particular section and printed
I am
out as necessary, formatted to an 8 by 11 sheets. And we're not getting this. I was very, when I talked to you last, very
Let me
pleased, and
see,
I'm with
one
the
second.
meeting now, that is really digging into these things. And,
yeah, no, that is
But
perfectly
it's
fine.
very hard, whether I'm here in person or on the YouTube, it's,
it's hard to.
it's impossible, because I can break in when necessary on the tube, I can obviously, break in here. But we really seriously need to talk about the format. There's no reason why we can give it to the town in February, in May, whatever, and not be able to read it until then.
It's just Memorial Day.
Yeah,
If there are
exactly, it's kind of like,
huge increases,
because of the
busing, police,
size
things that
of some of these.
18 months
Files, some of these
ago,
files are PDFs, they're not actually Excel files.
Well,
And that becomes a
16
problem.
months or so from now,
Yep.
and there could be an
How you
issue.
print it out.
Okay, you know,
These
but we'll
ladies-
level fund
the
everything.
lady's voice
Mhm.
said. 100
Okay,
years
now we
ago,
have a problem.
We spent a lot of money
I'm gonna
on
stay.
a program.
I can't hear anything, can you?
Yep, I
Yeah.
just unmuted us. We're good?
We are good.
Okay.
Can you guys decide, we have to finish this meeting, please? Okay, Will, do you happen to have a quorum now?
I don't believe so.
I don't think he needs.
All right. So we'll move forward. Would you like to introduce the members that are on with you?
Say that again?
Okay, sorry, really sorry about all this. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
So, Will Hackler is here, school committee Townsend representative. I believe Lisa Bloom and Randy Rush are in attendance, but we do not have a quorum.
Right now.
Okay, well, thank you all for joining us. And we have one order of business to conduct. And
All set?
Motion,
Yeah, I
please?
wonder if I should get her out of there. Okay.
Are we ready?
Yes,
I move to appoint Kim Craven to the North Middlesex Regional School District School Committee as Townsend representative with a term effective February 25th, 2025 until the annual election on April 26th, 2027.
Second?
okay, any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote would be on our behalf. Veronica.
Veronica Kell, aye.
And Laura Schifrin, aye.
Will Hackler, yes. Aye.
Okay,
We also might have to once in a while.
Who's Will Hackler?
Huh?
I wonder who Will Hackler is.
You know, but once in a while,
Mute yourself.
you might have to just, so that you don't lose.
okay. Thank you very much. We have voted, and thank you to Kim for volunteering, and good luck to the school committee.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Do we need to adjourn
Why don't we adjourn part of
the joint meeting?
the joint meeting? There wasn't a joint meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn our joint meeting with North Middlesex Regional School District School Committee
And I'll second.
at 5:58.
Second. Roll call.
Vote. Veronica Kell, aye.
And Laura Schifrin, aye. Okay. Take a 2-minute break, and I'll call the order for 6. Or what do you want?
It's literally
Well,
a
1
minute.
minute.
It's a minute, and it's actually, yeah. No, I think they can come and get settled.
Do we have we done the preliminaries already?
No, but I'll do them, but they can come in.
Yeah.
I just talked to town council, they can't deliberate, they have a forum in here.
Right, I know that.
So it's 3 people or less.
3 people or less. Would you ask who's gonna come in?
Are they even?
Just 3 people. Don knows it. Don knows it.
We allowed in or what?
Three of
Three
you are.
people. Can we come in? Three of you can come in. What?
They didn't post,
Oh, they didn't post.
so they can't have a quorum.
Okay, everyone. Good evening. My name is Laura Schifrin, and I will call the meeting of the Board of Selectmen for February 25th, 2025 to order at 6 p.m. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank all of our veterans and all of those currently serving our country now, here and abroad, and all of our emergency response volunteers, as well as their families, for the sacrifices they make for all of us. The meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube. Is anyone else recording the meeting? Yes, it is. Okay, I've made a record show that Cindy King is recording the meeting. Chairman's additions or deletions. I would just like to say, we still have lots of volunteer positions available for the community to participate in. We have had a few people take out papers for the elected positions. Not all the positions have people who have taken out papers. And there are many more volunteer positions available, as I said, opportunities for everyone to help out. I would like to say a thank you to Alice Struthers, who is 94 years old.
Happy birthday.
And Alice currently serves on the cultural council here in town, as well as she has served in the past on many other committees. I also want to thank some of you in attendance who I know are serving on 2, 3, or 4 different committees, and you're sitting at this table right now, and I appreciate your assistance. The town appreciates your assistance and all that you do for us. We have nothing under 1.5 for minutes this evening, and we'll go right to 2.1 and have a work session with the Finance Committee, or 3 members in a work
Right,
session.
in a work session, no quorum.
Okay. Don, I'll let you take it over.
Where we were going to, do you want me to bring it up and share?
Yeah, why don't you ask Hartley for,
Yep.
sharing privileges?
Hartley, this is Don Hayes. I'm coming into the Zoom.
Yes, I'm looking for you right now, Don. I'll put the
Okay.
sharing in as soon as I find it.
Thank you.
John, you have a copy of the agenda, right?
I do, yes.
Okay, so you have the order and make sure it's posted.
No, that's it's not here. John, we don't have a copy of the facilities budget in our book.
Facilities we have, we don't have the band concert, we don't have land use.
Betty May is
Facilities
here for band concert.
yes. So
They're
bring
in
in
the
budget?
SharePoint.
I submitted it to both the town administrator and no one
It's the same amount as previous
Last year.
years.
What was the amount?
Like 31,000.
How much?
Around 31,000.
The bandstand?
No,
Budgets for the
there's
concert.
two, yeah, there'll be two, let me get.
Do I have a copy of that, Sabrina? Today, thank you.
Nobody has. No.
It would be,
But
it
it's
would-
in the BPA.
right, if, right now, what I have up is the BVA.
Towards the bottom, if I remember.
Uh, Code 660,
Oh, yeah.
is Memorial Day. And the consensus is 692, so we'll start with 660, the Memorial Day. So if we look at that, there's three lines in the Memorial Day expenses: the professional services, band services, and then other supplies. The total for band concerts is $6,605.
For Memorial
For
Day.
Memorial Day, sorry,
Yeah.
not concerts, sorry.
So what are the other supplies, do we know?
And,
Yeah, that would be,
yeah, so that, yeah, so in the Memorial Day, other supplies, what sorts of things go in? What items are going into?
Would be wreaths, floral wreaths for the cemeteries, meaning each cemetery where we have a service. So a big floral wreath for Riverside and Hillside. A few geraniums, I mean, a very few, like come in at $45 total. To go to the cemetery. Sometimes it's a cost for ammunition, but the Legion has been taking care of it the last couple of years.
So that's the one in West Townsend and then Highland Street, or what about the older cemetery further up?
There are two kinds of wreaths that we've gotten in the past.
Okay,
The two big floral ones, which are placed during the services.
right,
But then bear in mind, we have 17 veterans macas around town, those
right.
corners you see that. For a number of years, there were wreaths there. We certainly put wreaths here in front of the town hall, wreaths in the Civil War Monument.
Okay.
One wreath does go to the old burial ground.
Okay, that's what I was curious.
Usually one goes in front of the monument in front of Spalding. Now, wreaths, as far as live wreaths, again, you have to have in mind the two separate things. You got the floral wreaths for the two services. The laurel wreaths, there's been difficulties the last few years getting them just because there weren't people still make them anymore. And then acquiring the laurel. So there has been some substitution in the last couple of years of some artificial wreaths or artificial decoration on the 17 veterans markers, but those basically are the supplies.
Thank you.
Obviously, as you know, Townsend's Memorial was something that's pretty much kept the same tradition for forever.
You have the flowers that kids toss from the boat.
Thank you.
And from the boat could be loose flowers, but also, we were putting wreaths in we were putting wreaths in the river, and if we have natural laurel, then we can put that in the river. But if we're using plastic wreaths, they're obviously not going in the river conservation wise.
Do we collect them at the end of the season or anything like that, or do we, I don't know.
Well, again, we don't, that's a realistic question. We started, and I'm not sure it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago with artificial ones, and of course, they fade.
They fade.
And again, it's like Memorial Day is not just one day. I mean, it is one day, but it's not like you put something out and you take it back in and that's all you care about.
Leave them up in the summer, right?
Right, and then by the end of the summer, they're pretty much
Right.
disintegrating. So some years has been a cost of buying artificial ones, and other years, it's the ones.
So that's 6,000.
Should I just expound on the other expenses?
Why not?
All right. There's some busing to move some matches from the reading room, say the children, from the reading room to Spalding, and usually a bus transports the town band from the common to the VFW. Then when they get done matching from the reading room back to Spalding, so there's busing costs there, but you need to keep people in one place, you don't want 30 people here, there, and everywhere. And I mean, that's one concern, that there could be an increase in busing, just the way the world is going. And I mean, I have some built in, but I mean, the things we hear on the news, I don't know if all of a sudden things are gonna be quadrupled. Because we're talking Memorial Day 2026.
Oh, 2026.
Right.
Oh,
Memorial Day 2026.
2027, yeah, the second half of the year.
2026.
So in
You said
other words,
2026, but it's, yeah,
Okay, never mind. So, yeah.
so, next calendar year, so it's not this coming Memorial Day. This one's already
Yeah,
in
I get
the
it.
FY
Yeah.
25 budget.
And last couple of years, there's been some money budgeted to reimburse the school department for the Spalding School restrooms being open just for a short period of time in the afternoon for the matches between parades to use the facilities.
We have to pay for that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you
Because they
know,
have to hire someone in to do it.
to open the doors and clean up the bathrooms afterwards, yeah.
I believe that they have tried to, in the past, been as considerate as they could have been with price and still fall within their guidelines of what a person has paid to be there and oversee it. And then there's also police detail that because streets are being blocked off for the parade to go by certain spots, police detail, and usually I have only included within my budget 1,000 or possibly 1,500. And some years the police department included in their budget, and other years they didn't, and of course it all depends what their work is like. So, I mean, I think we're gonna get by with what I proposed for Memorial Day, but I'm just telling you that there could be wildcats. I mean, I'm not anticipating them, but we're just very fortunate, I think, in Townsend that we still try to observe Memorial Day, unlike a lot of other communities.
Yes, it is good. Okay, so that's that Memorial Day. What else do we have?
And if I scroll down, 692 is band concerts. That total amount is 15,300. Two lines make it up. The band concert band services for 14,900, and the band concert other supplies for 400.
I have a question for you, Betty. So when you have your band concerts each week, it's sponsored by a church or an organization locally, correct?
No, we have concerts that's sponsored by the town of Towns.
Okay. So the activity that goes on during the band concert, does that in any way bring any money into your fund?
No. And as some of you well know, one has to struggle to have some of these organizations be out there having a lawn party because they have manpower issues, and obviously if they think they're going to take, well, hope to take in a few $100, and all of a sudden they have to pay money toward band concerts, and they're probably definitely not gonna be there.
We had this conversation.
But we've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
imagine pretty much everybody here knows I've been managing the band for 55 years, so.
Correct.
And we thank you for that.
And certainly if some of these things come in under this proposed, then that's good. But it's just, I need to make sure I'm in a position to deal with what might have to be dealt with.
Now, do you have to deal with anything like it rains and do you still, what's the deal with when it rains as far as the band? You still have to pay them or?
They're not paid if they don't play.
Okay, that's, well, I didn't know how you figured that in. So sometimes obviously we get money back then.
Oh, there's money
Well,
not
there's
spent in
money
the
not
account.
spent, then it becomes free cash.
Well, there's a rain date, right?
Sometimes,
That's sometimes we're on a rainy.
sometimes.
We run out of summer.
Yeah.
The rain dates have been rained out.
Yeah.
Okay. We good on the band concerts?
Just out of curiosity, because it's sitting at about 53% or 54% used. When did the band concerts start?
Band concerts of July, August, and June.
Right, okay, so,
So
so,
we haven't gotten to June this year, is why there should be money.
right, no, I understand that,
Okay.
but what week in June do they start?
So what
What week in June do they start? Is it the first, second,
it was
third, or
the first one?
the first week of June?
Oh.
Okay, so you have, that would be four concerts left in June if we don't have any rain dates. And with that, do you know how much the average band concert costs? So with the players that show up, they get paid. Do you have an average that you pay out on a weekly basis?
Probably $1,430.
Love the bookkeeping.
There's,
Well,
Divide by 12.
yeah. So that's good. I just haven't seen what the numbers were and seen that before. So that's the first time I've been able to ask that question. Okay, I don't have any additional questions. Anybody else? Selectmen questions?
I guess my only question is, will everybody be there on Saturday for the budget summit?
Nelson and I had a conversation. If there are items like this, I don't think there's any questions about the budget submitted, so there may not be a need for everybody to come in if there's no questions on them. If we have everything.
And we have an override on the warrant. If that override would not pass, are we asking everybody to consider how to drop their budget by a certain percentage?
Yeah, I think we would probably be forced to have everyone submit a revised budget request, X percentage.
So people should be aware of that. I just don't want people to leave here, or leave Saturday thinking that this is a fund.
Yeah. No,
that's
this is,
contingent on an override.
there is definitely gonna be contingency on an override because the budget is gonna exceed the revenues that we have.
May I ask what you're even speaking about on Saturday and what meeting?
March 1st, this coming Saturday, is Budget Summit, and there was a published, I think it's, cultural is the last that we're talking with, correct? So from 9 to 12 or 1, I think it's 1 o'clock, 9 to 1. Every hour, there's a different group that comes in and we're looking at the overall total budget.
I wasn't even aware it was happening, but I do not anticipate being in the area.
Okay.
And when Don and I spoke this morning, for departments that didn't have anything that we need to discuss further, we felt like they probably wouldn't need to come in because we would be discussing the same budget twice essentially.
Right.
So I think at the end of tonight, we'll probably have a good sense of what the schedule might look like. That way I can start letting department heads know that they should plan on coming in on Saturday to discuss things further.
And it will be a good summary and reminder for us what we've viewed over the month of February with the budgets.
So how are we gonna let the people know who are not coming about the
Percentage.
yeah,
I'll
It'll be in the email.
yeah, I'll inform everyone that
do you get that, Penny?
No,
Okay, how can we get in touch with you?
I'll
I'll get in touch with Betty.
Okay.
I mean,
Oh,
I
that's
have
fine.
her
I'll get in touch.
Yeah.
I have her
Email
email,
address.
but I'm not sure. So there's an all department email that goes out to everyone. I don't know who might be missing. Certainly all the major department heads and boards and committees, but I don't know if it includes every single.
So Lori's gonna be your
Person.
contact.
But when I send out an all department
I'll let you know
email,
what goes on.
that's
I think make sure that Betty May is on that email distribution. In fact, everybody that has a budget should be on that email distribution.
yeah. I'll need to look at the all department email.
That's us. We're gonna be there.
I'm not sure this is a question I should ask, but years ago, they kind of tied my band concerts and Memorial Day together. Should there ever be things like this that occasionally have come up in the last 50 years? And I do mean that, that if all of a sudden they had to be appearing, do I assume that they could still be considered tied together?
I don't think we've even discussed that.
You want the idea or not?
Well, I have no idea what percentage we're talking about. And, you know, if it were a percentage big enough, the band concert wise would end up cutting, you know, 2/3 of a concert or whatever. And I'm hoping that I don't reach my cap on Memorial Day if there's fluidity, which, you know, as I say, years ago, I mean, what was back, I think the days of Beverly Sleeper actually called me when I was in some other part of the country and said, can we tie these together just in the event we need to do this? I said, it's just a question of,
There are ways to tie them together. At the end of our budget year, we have 2 months where we can transfer money from one account to another. So they don't necessarily need to be attached, but we would transfer it from one account, the Memorial Day, into band concerts if that was, or alternately, if you haven't used all the band concert money, that runs across the 2 seasons, so.
thank you, well,
There are alternatives for us to, but the money has to be available in those accounts to transfer.
Let's see it on here, but what's the total of her budget?
The 2 budgets together, 15,300, would be 21,860.
21,305. No, okay, yeah,
Where's the other one?
21,900.
So this one is 692, the band concerts, so it's 15,300. And if I scroll up just a little bit, the 6605 is the Memorial Day account.
Oh, the 6,000, okay.
Yeah,
I see it,
okay.
So
No, and I
21,
made a mistake, I did,
This is a
31,000.
relatively small
my
budget
fault.
that we're looking at. So if we're doing percentages, I don't think you would be losing that much out of here. That's just my personal opinion, but we have bigger fish to fry. Thank you for what you do.
And I had a dyslexic moment on a number, so the total is between the two is 21,905.
We're right. Okay, thank you.
No more questions, Betty, maybe we're all set.
I'm gonna remain here for a couple of minutes, because I need to bring something out. More than this, I'll be going down.
Okay, next, the budget is, review is, facilities. Let's see.
I think I saw Rob here.
Yeah, I saw, yep. Rob, can you hear and see us?
Yeah, I see you and I can hear you. I'm borrowing my wife's computer in her office.
Thank you for,
Thanks for
This is
dialing
the
in.
union contract. You're all union.
I didn't think they were,
Rob is.
but not the others. Well,
Why is
the
it- what are you
admin
doing?
assistant is, but the temporary help and the support staff I thought was not.
Why did they say union contract increase?
I think probably because they just probably figured it was the same increase across the board for whether you're union or non-union. That would be my guess.
Is that correct?
Yes. Part-time.
Which side here? So here we go, Rob, Ocean. Ellen, Greg, oh, he put all this stuff in,
Okay.
nice.
So there is, you wanna look at the summary sheet or the detailed sheet for,
Oh, man. Danielle Morgan.
So it's per contract that they get the step increases?
Rob does, but everyone else, you know, it's just kind of. Assume that they, you know, they're not in the union. I mean, Danielle.
So you're saying it's just assumed that they'll get the
So
increase?
they all have reviews.
Yeah, the department head provides reviews of them.
Because you have to have a satisfactory review to get a step increase.
Yeah,
One
and,
thing.
and department heads do reviews for their staff.
I think that's exactly, I don't know if I like that up here.
Town administrator. And that's on my list of things.
Before this would go into effect.
Before July 1st, right, because it's a new fiscal year that this goes into effect.
Okay.
What is? Look at it, I don't- No, it's on the other side.
Yes.
So these people have been here a long time.
Or
No, the
I
longevity is,
don't know if they started at step one, but
typically you got put on, the step when the Collins report was implemented. It depended on what they were currently making at that time. You got put on the step that, was either equal to or right above what you were making.
Okay. So can I ask,
And that was 5 years ago, so they probably started it somewhere, 9 or so, step 9.
the part-time positions, how long have they been employed?
Rob, that's a question to you for Eno and Paul.
I have a cleaner, Paul, and I have Eno Kopi. Yeah, they receive a step increase, but they're about popped out. They're not going to go anywhere probably after this year.
But
Yeah, how long have they been working for us, if you don't mind?
Eno, I think, has been here for like same as Paul, 6 or 7 years. He was here prior to me coming to Townsend to the facilities department. He was under Mark Mercurio.
So how many hours a week does he work, and then do the two part-timers fill one full position? Is that it?
They don't exceed 38 hours a pay period.
Or the both of them?
No, each of them is 38 hours every 2 weeks.
So
19
hours a week.
hours.
Now 19 hours a week, yes.
Yeah, you've documented it here. Thank you.
And Eno has been working 15 hours a week because I'm pretty much exhausted. They gave us $3,000 last fiscal year extra for parks and cemeteries laborers to help facilities out with the shoveling and everything else. And that's pretty much dried up. Now it's going into Eno's count. So, the facility's been quite busy with the weather and everything else that's going on, people moving offices and asking for furniture. And, we can only do so much with the crew we have. And, it's nice that Jimmy, Mr. Smith, has extended out his help to help facilities with moving heavy items. So that's keeping the cost down.
So the automatic raises for temporary help, explain that to me again about the 20 hours versus the 19 hours.
They can only work so many hours under. I actually think Eno was a fractional employee and Paul is a part-time employee.
That's the difference. So he's part-time. He's fractional.
I think those are one and the same.
I thought they weren't. I thought that was discussed last week.
Anyway. What's the
No?
difference then?
Part-time is 19 and a half and 30 hours, and anything under the 19 and a half, you're considered fractional. So it's 3 buckets: fractional, and then it's part-time, and then it's full-time.
Okay.
So, it's based on how many hours you work a week.
Oh, okay. Are we done with the salaries?
If there's no more questions on salaries. I will ask for Danielle. It looks like that might be a 2% thing. No, sorry. Yeah. So,
She's union part of the club.
Yeah, there is a line item from Danielle that does some of the billing for facilities. It shares with the highway department.
no, it's fine. I was thinking of a different line. Everything looked good on the numbers.
Doesn't that look like it? Can you go back, Don?
Yep. This was just something
The clothing is supposed to be 600? I think that's a typo, isn't it?
No, the clothing is $850 now.
Okay, yeah,
that's-
$850. Okay.
Supervisors
The
union,
super, yeah.
clerical
and then-
union is different.
Yeah. And then you're the only one eligible for longevity, so the 500 is within the year of the year. Yeah. That'll look good.
So how come it was approved at 600, but, so it was 500 or 600? What is it?
That was prior.
Oh, this is for. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It was done incorrectly.
Okay, so
So what should it be?
850. Or
No,
what do you?
no, I'm talking about the
longevity,
600 and the 500. the
500
longevity.
for
500, and then
longevity,
after, what's it, 10 years, it goes up to the 1,000?
something like that.
So is that a FY 26 requested or is it FY 25 requested?
It is,
Column.
both columns are the same. The only
same.
increase between the two columns is the increase in the base salary in FY 26.
But where's the FY 26? I don't have it on my page.
Oh,
Here.
sorry, it's the
Oh, I'm looking at this.
fourth column. Oh, okay, you're looking at the summary sheet.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't gone back to the summary.
It wasn't, the fiscal year is incorrect on the summary sheet. It should say FY 26.
Yeah.
It says FY
Right,
25.
Yeah.
It was a clerical error when the sheets were made.
Yeah, we've seen it, some have been corrected, others haven't, but yeah, on the summary sheet. Okay, now detail sheet for expenses.
What's the currency for some of these?
191.
Maybe this one needs to be moved.
I think it's, yeah, on the expense side, worksheet, all of them are the same.
Yep.
Two.
So if we look at that, the energy is still going at 125,000 in FY 26. I'm jumping back to the BBA that I had through the end of December. And the energy is sitting right now at roughly 37% used.
Oh, it was at 48 on the,
On the end of January 1.
Yeah.
If we're into the heavy use on the energy, so I would expect higher jumps into January, February.
Which I had a couple $10,000 payments for the senior library for 1 month.
but that's about right for this time of year.
That's what I would expect. It's kind of like, I sort of did a
What did he say
chart.
about he had what kind of payments? For what? The library?
Library.
Wait.
Oh, I didn't hear what he said.
There were on the energy, he had a couple of $10,000 payments, for the energy.
So these are for all the buildings,
This is for, all the buildings
but not police or
Or
fire
fire.
Right.
or highway.
or water.
So
Or
what
water.
is it? So it's the Memorial Hall.
The library.
Senior
What?
Center.
Yeah.
Library.
Library, senior center.
The energy also comes out from the rec department,
West Townsend Reading. Room.
municipal garage.
Probably the one in the back here in the parking
Yes.
lot. Right? Oh, okay, thank you, just to be clear that it's not highway department.
And what about the Kimball House? Is that included?
Cemetery and parks, yes.
Quite a few facilities in it, and it rolls up into the one.
But not water, not fire, not police.
And not school.
And not schools.
So the professional services are for all the buildings, and what would that be?
Rob, did you hear that question?
All the professional services would come under all the inspections from anywhere from the cleaning of the boilers to some of the floors. Professional services would be the exterior of the buildings. Just a list. I didn't have it. It's a big list that comes under out of facilities that covers it. The hood ranges for the stoves, Memorial Hall, the boilers, the impact fire for the suppression systems, and the suppression systems at the senior library, the backflow preventers that comes out from facilities for the fire alarm systems, sprinkler systems. Yeah, it's anything to do with electrical work that has to be repaired or replaced, plumbing fixtures. There's a lot that goes into those buildings for maintenance because of the usage.
So
I don't, communications, there's a line item in there as well for the Guardian info and the phone systems. It's pretty in depth when you break it down. When you really get into this line items, it's pretty deep. I have generators. That comes out of it as well.
So how does that's professional services. So how does that differ from the facilities repair and maintain buildings? So the building maintenance and repair, 36.
That's the way that was broken down when I came to work here. I sit down with Katie and we go over this a lot with the building for purchasing stuff and the professional services, the equipment for the senior center, the kitchen equipment.
There's an equipment line, and then there's
a building line.
Repair. Yes. Yeah, so
I have, which is pretty expensive for the elevator services in Memorial Hall, the handicap elevator, all the AC units that gets maintained monthly and yearly, the boilers. It's just, there's a lot of equipment in all of these buildings per code that we have to visit. And it's on a revolving schedule.
Do you have contracts for most of this equipment?
And another one is a pest control. And the price keeps on going up on that. And that line item doesn't even have enough money in it.
Well,
so when that goes negative, they have to go into another line item and basically tap from that to pay the vendor. Groundskeeping supplies down at the bottom. Roger sends his guys over, and I mean, I've gone through 3 tons of ice melt this year. Even gas for the snow blowers. The snow blower repairs come out of equipment. right now, I just signed off on a $4,000 bill to senior center generator is failed. They don't have any backup right now because I just signed off on a $4,000 repair for a radiator system, hoses and belts. And the aged diesel generator that supports Memorial Hall, that's aged equipment as well. All this stuff was in Memorial Hall is over 30 years old. Is the same thing as all my condenser equipment outside the building that supports various rooms. I mean, I've been trying desperately to watch my budget line and shop for the best price and repair these units and replace them as they go along. If the oldest one is the services the Great Hall is a 10-ton. I was just working with Rise Engineering today. They were out here touring all the buildings. I was working with them for 6 hours today on the next round of Green Community Grants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where we could get help with paying for some of these items.
Because where's capital planning on all that stuff that's 30 years old?
This is the way I've taken over, and I've been level funded for the last 5 years. We went through a pandemic. I begged for some ARPA funds. I got pushed to the side, and that was basically supposed to be for building maintenance and repair. So here we are, and Town Hall needs a lot of work. I have sashes that need to be replaced to hold the stained glass windows in. I'm working on a grant with Erin, and now I found out that she's leaving. So it's just one thing after another. I have to do the best I can do to keep that building in perpetuity for the taxpayers. It belongs to the taxpayers.
But that grant is going to be going over to the person who's replacing her. And
I hope so, because
the grant was applied for historic buildings.
no, it's not applied for yet.
We're still working out some details.
But there's
She
an
told me
agreement.
that she did apply for it
Well, she looked into it quite in depth, and there was some things that
from the state.
that she found.
when
out
Eric
that-
Slagle was here, we didn't have enough money. We had the bids come in. We were shy of dollars. Now I'm reaching out to vendors to come in here and reapply and give me some more quotes. I've even offered to do painting on the trim that has to be replaced to cut the cost down using help in-house. So we're just going to sit back and wait.
Aren't there warrant articles for Memorial Hall that were the past few years put into place for things like that?
There's some money left over, Miss Kell. And I talked to Katie today. There was 2 line items. One was the Memorial Hall and the fire station down by Cherry Hill, ice cream. That building was repaired. Whatever is left over, it's sitting there. There was another line item that she pointed out to me. One of those jobs was complete. Oh, there was the staircase on the rec center. That was completed, and there's money left over. So I would like to recapture some of those funds and put this in there. And the more money I can get to fix the town hall, and matching funds from the grant, we can move forward.
That together with remaining funds are about $50K. So
I thought there was about $70,000 she brought up to me at one point.
Yeah, there's another one somewhere. So yes,
Yeah,
there are, and these are all in warrant articles, so they don't go away at the end of the year. And
Okay.
the way other things in the budget might. So,
No, and I recall the one with the money left over on the stairs on the rec center was reallocated in a town meeting or a special town meeting. I'd have to go back and look at which one it was.
there's also Green Communities has done a lot with facilities, and I know that Energy is planning to do another round of that this spring. So we've regularly been receiving funds for buildings.
Right. And then there was the investigation. We had somebody in looking at all the buildings and coming up with recommendations of what
That's
needed to be
RISE
done.
Engineering. That's required for that
Right.
grant.
And the other problem I have is the library, the roofs on that complex down there. When I got here 5 years ago, there was 4 rooms and the flat roofs are all leaking. So I reached out, we reached out to Gogan Construction and basically there was no reply. They sent them over to do something else. So I'm just trying to weed away a little bit of it at a time.
Yeah, Rob, tomorrow, when you're with the capital planning committee, those roof repair items and other stuff will be part of what you'll be presenting to the committee.
Okay.
It's just the committee doesn't have a lot of money.
So are the senior citizen houses over on Dudley Road part of this too?
No.
No? So when it says pest control, Dudley Road pest control, that's not it?
No, Dudley Road is that's over at the senior center.
So what am I looking at up there?
It just says 12 Dudley Road, but there's no money in it.
Nope, that comes out of one fund. There was $6,000 set aside for pest control.
Right, and
That Mr. Shank and Chaz signed the contract. It was $6,000, and we're pretty much running negative.
yeah, we can see the usage is high, but and at one time, we're looking at the BBA and there's 2 lines in here with $0 assigned, but they both say pest control and they have addresses, one for 12 Dudley Road and one for 272 Main Street.
Right. It got compiled under one fund. So the pest control, they do the police station pays for it itself. And then I have Memorial Hall, all the bait stations around it, all the bait stations around the municipal garage because of the restaurant behind it, and then we take care of around the library and inside the senior center and the mezzanine above it.
Veronica, back about 10 minutes ago, when we were talking about the harbor station,
Yeah.
that's been taken out of the, it's no longer in the budget, right?
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
The one that's being renovated.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, that's all. Okay, thank you.
Why isn't it in the budget?
Why not?
Why isn't it in the budget?
Well, I think last year, a couple of years ago, we were talking about it, but then the gift came along and.
Right.
So the gift doesn't come through the town at all?
No, the town in annual town meeting last year signed that building over to the fire association for like 99 years or some such
As a
thing.
lease?
It's, well, I don't know that there's an official lease, but it was passed on. I'd have to look at the verbiage, but it was
So the
passed
town
on.
doesn't own it anymore, is that what you're saying?
No, the town has passed it over to them. In 99 years, it will revert back unless there's another article.
Yeah, but is it a lease or a sale? I don't get what you're saying.
It's not a sale.
Yeah.
So the town
If
owns
we
it?
assigned it
So the
to,
town owns it?
we own it, but we have no responsibility for it. We have
Ah,
assigned that
okay.
to the
So,
fire
okay, so I'm just
association.
trying to understand in terms of real estate ownership and conveyance. It's either a lease or a sale, or I was just trying to get that cleared up.
I think it just has come under the umbrella of the fire department.
But the actual ownership of the
It's probably
building.
still the town.
Oh, the town still
The town
owns the
owns it.
building,
Oh,
but
okay.
we
Fire
have
department's taking care
no
of it.
responsibility
we don't
for
have
it
to
at
fix it.
this point.
Right, we don't have to fix it.
Right.
I get it.
And it doesn't come through public records of the town or anything like that.
I
if
know
that's the
that, yeah,
question.
that kind of was my question. I understand that.
Okay.
Okay, I have no other questions, and the fact that he's going to get capital planning is a good thing.
I think we could do probably a better job if we had shopped around for another pest control, to cut down on the cost. I mean, the way those contracts are written up, it doesn't have to be treated like it is on a monthly basis.
We
We can look at this.
We can look at this. We have a Townsend First policy, and I
Yeah.
believe that the contract is with Montechusett Pest Control,
Yes.
who's in town here. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to find some more money and put some more money into that line item then.
How much is it a month?
Okay, thank you.
How much is it a month?
It's an early
Does he know?
thing, I think.
Talk louder.
Rob, there's a question. Do you know what whether it's a monthly or quarterly payment for the pest control?
They pay them monthly.
We pay a monthly.
How much is it a month?
And do you know the amount per month?
Must be.
I just signed the warrant articles on that, but if you break it down, I mean, it's running shy, and when we have to call them back for spraying the buildings when we have pop-up hornet's nest around the library and the senior center or town hall. When I see it, I have to call them back in, and there's an additional charge. So I can tomorrow, when I meet with you, I can get you those numbers.
But that's not for capital planning. Capital planning doesn't do pest control, but
There'll be a couple of finance committee members there. We can take the numbers and feed it back. We have a meeting.
Well, if you break it down, it's 6K on the table right now, and if you go through 12 months, I mean, that would give you a flat number. But then on the other hand, there's an additional callbacks, and we have to pay for it.
More than one building too. I mean, it's multiple buildings.
It's multiple buildings.
Right, yeah. So if we look at it, it was
But I think-
5,000 for 6 months, so.
it was adjusted in the fiscal year 26 proposal, so.
Yeah, that's the one line that has the
Right.
major increase of 20%, so trying to adjust that amount. And a little bit of increase in the water. I think this will all stream. With the new rates, we did a best guess at budgeting and
I guess my question is, why isn't pest control rolled into professional services?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too.
Because then you would shortchange me under professional services. If you want to add that into professional services,
It just seems that it could be incorporated in there, and then if it fluctuated, it wouldn't be showing on the line item.
But I think having it pest control, that pretty well spells it out. That's where it belongs, whereas the other things, there's so many of them that we just kind of get lost in the.
and I think it was a couple of years ago, I remember that it was pulled out. Somebody had requested that it be pulled out and put it on a separate line
Okay.
from professional
Okay,
services.
good.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
so-
just
I do
thinking,
remember
if it fluctuates that much, then why not put it in the professional services line? Because sometimes you use professional services and sometimes you don't.
So
Where
actually, it
are
would be
you at?
just a line moving,
Yeah,
with the money, so he's not losing anything.
correct, correct.
Where are you at with, on that line item, as far as, like, you have been pulling up for 6 months?
The BVA, yeah.
I have, 88% has been used.
On professional services?
No,
Oh,
on
professional
pest control. I
services.
thought you
No,
said
the
pest.
other-
Professional services.
Professional services, 19%.
Yeah.
19.
Right.
Yeah, so
That's why.
that's probably why it should go into professional services.
Well, that's where there'd be extra money, but as I was hearing, it sounds like the $4,000 for the senior center generator has not hit this yet.
Yeah, yeah.
As
Well,
well
there
as,
will be, yeah, there's other things,
right. Okay.
but
Where does that put it, if you put that 4,000? 20,000.
wouldn't that be repair and maintain buildings?
Yeah, right, wouldn't that be a repair?
Or
I mean,
If-
Yeah,
if
one or
that-
the
It
other,
could,
yeah.
it could fall
Well,
under
that's-
several
that-
buckets.
I
so,
was gonna say, could kind of under groundskeeping supplies, you know.
Probably not
Well,
that.
generator.
It probably would be, repair and maintenance building, repair and maintenance equipment, or
Yeah.
Right.
professional services.
Yeah.
It could even be that.
Right.
It's ambiguous enough that you can make.
No,
case.
under the building supplies, if I can chime in here,
Yeah.
that could probably be shaved under it if you want to have the senior center and the library step up to the plate and buy some of their own paper goods for the bathrooms, towels, and other things.
No, because it's a
I'm paying for the cleaner to go around, so I don't know. Miss Kells mentioned about cutting 10%, so we can nip away here and there.
me, it's the finance committee and the board of selectmen and the budget of the town. If we don't have, if the override doesn't pass, there will need to be cuts. That's just all there is to it.
Rob, I have a
Just what
question
they are.
about the, all those items. Are they anywhere broken down per building, or is everything just lumped in?
It's pretty much lumped in. This goes back, from what I understand, several select people ago, the way they wanted to break everything down into line items. But at the end of the day, when I show negative on one, it's going to get
Balance.
drafted out of something else.
No, I get that, but is there anywhere that we know the breakdown per building, just so we have an idea of which building's costing us more, or do further information?
Yeah, the library and the senior center, and a big user is Memorial Hall, but the biggest is the complex on Dudley Road, the senior library.
I'm not surprised. No, but I think we should know that, yeah, what the buildings are costing per building, instead of a lump
Must be
sum.
bigger.
Excuse me?
Square foot must be bigger.
Well,
Square foot.
age, facility, you know,
Okay, where are we at?
Yeah, okay.
All right.
You gotta,
I guess that's not.
Memorial Hall, that's, even though we had weatherization done, that's it uses a lot of fuel.
Are the boilers new?
No, not at all. I have there are 5 boilers that supply heat to that building, and they're quite aged. And I the professional services, I have the vendor come in more than I should to keep them going. I give them additional care so they last longer.
So the efficiency is not real high.
No. Nope. I was just in there to Rise Engineering, and there was so much with that building to step up to code. They want to get a consultant and tour that whole building, heat and AC balance, the windows. It's going to be a pretty big list, and I can't wait for them to we can visit this and see what direction we're going to go to keep this building alive.
Is that a result of that test, study they had done last year or the year before?
That's probably one of them, but we're working on a Green Communities grant right now between Memorial Hall, the rec center, the highway department, and the police station, which looks more positive, spending money at the police station and helping out the highway, but there's so much to in-depth look at Memorial Hall with the code changes. They're going to have to come up with a plan to help us out.
Thank you. Explaining that.
Anything further? Questions?
Not for me.
Let's go to recreation.
Okay.
SNEC.
Yep.
I saw Aaron online too.
Okay.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay, thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
You
Sure.
too.
You too.
Yeah, she's on.
Yeah, I just wanted to double check.
Okay.
Think-
She's on time. Aaron?
I think they want recreation.
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
SNEC.
yeah,
Do we have that, Becky?
recreation,
Do we have it?
recreation.
What color is it? I can't read these.
Purple, dark purple.
Dark purple?
Yeah, the dark purple.
Which one is two? I have two.
It's in the
Oh, I see.
SharePoint.
Yeah, it's in the SharePoint and it is in the book. The rest is the dark
Recreation.
purple.
Six.
It's 6:55, you're saying?
Yes.
What's the number on that? 6:55. 6:55, yeah. 6:55.
I'll just go.
I'm good.
Okay, everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any questions? And the only increase I have is the union increase according to my salary. That's it. It's been 2,500 for my building, and its operations for, I don't know, 5 years now, 5 or 6 years now. And it didn't increase on the AD's position. We're looking at rewriting that and kind of changing it to a little bit more modern than what it was. So it's still the same thing, no increase off of it. Really, it's just we'll still carry the 10,000 and you guys carry a portion of it. But yeah, and then my longevity, I've been here 12 years now. It was raised over the last one. Yeah, like I said, there really isn't a whole lot. I think between last and this one, it's $3,000, $1,000.
Somewhere on the worksheet.
So will you have the to be hired? Is that somebody that you had that left?
Yeah, and then we've been carrying it. I haven't filled it, which is so if you might note, the pay rate is very low. And in today's industry, when, a front desk person at McDonald's makes $18 an hour, to hire an assistant director at $19.50 is pretty unrealistic. So as I said, the board is actually looking at rewriting it to shift out some of the responsibilities to be more on the digital era, with leaving me with the harder core stuff, because before we had some split in admin duties, but we really need somebody that's more able to do things like stay on top of social media and to hunt out, additional classes, instructors, and do that sort of research stuff. So shifting out some of how the assistant director's description is to make it more in play with what it would be making financially. What the pay rate would be is what we're looking to do this year. So we can actually hire for that position. It's been open because that's just the way it's
So part of
been.
that would be like a virtual assistant to do the research, which wouldn't require as many hours.
Exactly. It's only a 12-hour a week during the year, with the exception of 6 weeks in the summer, it's 30 hours. So it's 12 to 15 during the week. I think I have it in as 15, and then 30 for 6 weeks during the summer, where we actually have that position that acts as a second for us during the summer, because we're all hands on deck for our summer rec program. We're not office folk during the summer.
I don't know much about the recreation department. Sure. Do you have any nighttime programs for adults?
So we have in the past, we don't currently, and again, a lot of that has to do with just the current state of the economy. Has a lot to do with it. We don't, as you can see, there's no subsidy from the town for our department. So we have to bring in enough to cover whatever is taking place. And at the rate of inflation for not just employees, but vendors, it's counterbalanced. Finding those deals is harder, but yes, we've done computer classes, we've done craft programs, we've done cooking classes. And I am looking back to get back in. I was hoping things would stabilize a little bit, because we have been poking around in some of that research to find those kinds of vendors again. Our vendor for our cake baking classes, our cake decorating classes, she came from down near Sturbridge, and her travel went from $50 to like $200 as a fee. Like, so, it's kind of one of those things to look at. And even things like face painting, So for us, we really loved having Erin. She was really helpful with the grant situation, because again, it's just me. So grants are a big thing. I'm looking at Amanda Dwight. We have to make up the shortfall from the ARPA funds being removed. So I'm looking at Amanda Dwight to cover those things for the summer, because we have some things contracted already. And then there are, like I said, there's some adult programs I'm looking at right now that I'm kind of excited about, but fingers crossed, keeping our eyes open and hoping. The idea behind a recreation department for a town is that the majority of the town can afford whatever programs we're putting in place. And right now, with the way vendor costs are going and what I'm seeing for instructor costs, because they tend to be small businesses themselves, the rates are so high, it's no longer even affordable for us to offer it as the community rate. Especially again, if I have to have staff in. So that's where we're
So I
at.
have a question.
Sure.
So what activities are you currently?
So we do rec kids currently. That's our only, no, I got rec kids. I've got the
Rec
skiing.
rec kids. The ski
What does that mean, rec kids?
Rec kids?
Recreational.
Yeah, kids programming
Kids
for kids.
program.
Well,
We-
all right,
we do-
after school, before school, during school, could you be a little bit more specific?
So we do movement and mindfulness in the morning. So we do have a morning program.
Okay.
And then we have an after program that goes in the evening, and that's play driven. So individual child play driven. And then we have the ski program, which is Monday evenings for 7 weeks over the winter. I'm going to say 7.
And what does that consist of? What is that?
So it's actually a family program that we're connected with Wachusett Mountain.
The ski program. Okay.
Ski school, or ski program, ski hub, whatever you want to call it in that place. And we're getting ready to do Egg Your Yard. We've been doing that. This will be year 5. And it's actually it exploded beyond our wildest imaginings when we first put it out, and it still is. I hope there's no kids watching or gonna watch. So basically, parents purchase by egg, and we have Easter bunnies, staff and volunteers, and we bring them and hide them around their yards on the night before Easter. So kids can Easter egg hunt the next day. So it's candies, toys, and I got staff all wearing Easter egg or Easter bunny ears and pom-poms and.
So your morning program runs,
So-
what hours is that?
6:45
6:45,
until bus pickup.
and the bus stop's here.
Mhm.
And then the afternoon program?
Until 6 p.m.
Okay, so starting at 2:30 or?
Whenever the bus drops off. Usually it's between 3 and 3:15, depending on which bus it is. We do have,
Until what
we have
time?
van participants as well.
Until
So
what time?
6
is it?
p.m.
6 p.m.
Mhm.
You charge extra if the kids don't leave by 6?
We do. Luckily, we haven't had to. Typically,
Okay.
an email warning or a conversation with the parents is
Right.
enough.
Mhm.
But yes, we would if it becomes an issue.
So what happens in the summer?
So in the summer, we run our summer program, and that is 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. We're contracted currently with the schools, and it's worded kind of weird. It's basically to say it's the Monday following the first full Monday off from school. So they have a full week at minimum after school ends before we move into the building.
So let me get this straight. So, okay, your summer program runs from 8 to 4.
No.
What, 8?
No,
in the
I wasn't
morning?
done.
No, what was it? Sorry.
It runs 8 to 4, but we also run an extended day program that runs and this year it'll be from 6:45 until 8 o'clock.
Okay, that's right.
And then
Oh, full
from,
day.
Okay.
yeah, and then we'll be doing it in the afternoons from 4 to 6 as
I
well.
was just wondering what happened.
Nope, it doesn't,
Right.
nope, it does not disappear.
Okay.
We didn't do morning last year. There wasn't enough call for it, but I've had enough emails and conversations with parents that they are looking for the earlier morning. It
Mhm.
seems more so even than the later afternoon. And it's discussed yearly, which if either, because again, if I don't have enough students
Right.
to kids to pay, then I can't pay my staff. So I have to,
Compensate.
it has to work its way through
So
where we're at.
the summer program pays for itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I have another question.
Right.
So you have 4 things going on. You have
Currently.
during school, the ski,
Mhm.
the eggs, and
Mhm.
the summer.
Yep, and I'm working on, I'm working on, so next fall's lineup currently, and I'm still working on funding to finish building the fitness court.
The tennis court,
The fitness court.
oh, the fitness court.
Mhm.
Okay. So I have a history question here.
Sure.
Historically in Townsend, this
Oh,
recreation department has been self-funded. Is that possible that it could go back to that?
We are, with the exception of $2,500.
Oh, I see. So
That's what I'm
I
saying,
don't
like, I don't
understand.
have,
On expenses, not
right, on
salaries.
expenses.
no, I'm talking
And on
about,
salaries,
well, I'm talking
even
about
Only
the,
me.
only the assistant director, and we pay the difference over 10,000.
Correct.
We, the town.
so it's not self-funded,
It is not a totally self-funded,
correct, like it
Department.
used to be. That's what I'm saying,
like, it was
self-funded.
not as long as I've been on finance committee.
It's
but
changed maybe
No,
10
I'm-
years ago.
Oh,
How
10.
long have you been here, Amy?
12. And
12.
that's 10 years ago.
So it was 10 years ago. So
Mhm.
it's been I know when I became a selectman, it was,
Well,
the director was staff.
I
was
don't know when you
town
became
staff.
selectman, but you're saying it for 12 years, it's
2020.
been,
10 years.
10 or bit.
10 years.
10 years, it's been funded by the town,
What's been funded by the town?
the recreation department.
No.
No.
Just me. And in the last
And-
3 years, the assistant director's position, over $10,000 and $2,500 to my building. The programming, the expenses for the programming, all the staff for the programming, the active part of the programs,
I
that
guess
is
I
funded
don't
by the
understand. So
programs.
you're outside the recreation department, your administration? Or
Right, I'm
only
a
She's a
department
town
head.
employee.
I'm a town employee.
Oh, I see. So you're a
Yeah,
town employee.
I'm a town employee. My staff is employed by the Towns and Recreation Department and the town, because the town is the overhead umbrella, but they're funded by our programming.
So the fees that people pay for the
Pay for our
pro-
staff and our expenses.
pays for all the expenses and any of the,
Supplies,
and the people that
buses,
help with the
et cetera, yeah.
programs. the-
vendors, yeah, all of it,
Everything.
yeah. So like the Egg Your Yard, the folks that are making that purchase are the ones that are actually paying for the program to happen.
So if there was no recreation department, you'd still have a job, right?
No,
Because you're
I
a town
had-
employee.
Right, but I had the recreation department.
So you work by yourself?
For the most part. I mean, for the office,
For a whole part?
Emmy plans all the programming. and-
right, I'm the
and
director, so I'm the overhead.
Mhm.
If it was the library, I'm the librarian.
Okay.
There's a
and then I
job
have-
description
Yeah.
that might be useful.
Oh,
if
that would be
you,
helpful,
Yeah,
yeah.
probably, yeah.
you know, do you have access to the job description?
Are they
Should it be
somewhere?
online? Is it not online?
I don't think, are the job descriptions online? I don't know in
I
this
don't
new
think so. I
website.
don't think so, no.
If they were, they would be under HR, but there are job descriptions for every town employee.
Okay. So who worked for you? I mean,
So I have staff that is hired to actively, like my rec counselors.
okay,
Does
okay.
that, yeah, so maybe if I title them, that'll make things easier to
Okay,
understand.
yeah,
So I have rec counselors, I have staff supervisor. During the summer, I have, an operations
Okay.
and logistics. I have a lead arts and crafts, lead sports and activities.
Okay.
So I have, so we hire individual
Right.
positions to run, to be the boots on the ground for the programs.
And you don't see that here in the budget for recreation because those positions are all funded through the revolving
fund,
account.
Right,
The program costs. So what people pay to be able to
Right.
take advantage of the services before and after school
Okay.
that the rec department
Right.
provides.
for
All
tennis, et
that
cetera.
funding goes through a revolving account and it pays for the counselors, et cetera, that get hired by the rec department.
Okay, I think that's what was
Yeah.
confusing is
Well, there's
the,
the
Yeah.
missing piece, yeah.
Yeah.
So now that we know
Yeah,
that,
so
that
we have
helps,
a
yeah.
revolving fund and that pays, so my employees are paid, so they are employees of the town. However, they're not paid out of the general fund. They're paid out of the revolving fund, which is exclusive to the recreation department and is exclusive to the fees that we take in for the programs
Okay.
that they staff. So, it'd be very much like as if I had a vendor, say I have, so the cake decorating. I have to charge enough for the cake decorating in order to pay the vendor and her supplies, whatever her bill is.
right.
So I have to take in enough for my rec kids program or my tennis program or the summer program to pay the instructors.
Right. You make
So
any
my
profit?
counselors.
Yeah,
No.
that makes sense. That makes a lot
No,
more sense.
no, not
I know.
really, no.
I get
I think
it,
I
yeah.
I
have,
get it,
yeah.
yeah, all right.
So
Stuff
typically,
they don't tell you that you gotta do
yeah,
that,
I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
that's
the
all right, it's not your
hierarchy's,
fault.
the hierarchy's weird. I think I'm the only department in town that works this way. So it makes it a little weirder, to try and explain
Yeah, you
how the
are,
umbrella
because
looks.
even
Right.
temporary help in
Mhm.
parks and
is
cemetery
covered through.
is covered through the
Right,
budget.
right.
Right,
But rec is self-sustaining.
Right.
so yeah, so sorry, I didn't mean to create confusion. I wasn't aware that, yeah, we are a little weird in that way. That's why I was like, I don't really have anything on here.
Right, that's all right.
Right, and later on, as we get into March, we plan to look at the stabilization funds.
Right.
Because there are many of them, going through, so that would probably make it clearer, so we haven't looked at them yet.
So you mean the revolving account?
The revolving,
Stabilization
yeah.
has
No,
nothing
yeah,
to
yeah,
do
wrong
with
word,
recreation.
Yeah.
Wrong
No,
word.
It's, yeah, wrong word.
Yeah.
So I'd like to clear up another thing that's
Sure.
kind of going around town, and you probably heard about. So what's going on with the fitness equipment that we're hearing all kinds of different stories about? That it's not being used, that it can't be used, et cetera. Can you give us some enlightenment on that?
Sure, the fitness equipment is in the garage. It needs to be built.
Okay.
So, we're looking at the cement pad. Building department is working on that for us along with cemetery and parks to actually put the pad down. And then I'm currently in the process of putting out additional fundraising request letters. I have $30,000 that I need to fund for the contracted builders to cover the warranty, to actually build the equipment into the fitness court. So it's here. We've purchased the program. It's got, its warranty in place.
So
We just need to
people
actually
who
get
are
it.
listening, who would love to
Oh.
donate to have
That's
this
right.
done, who can they contact?
They can certainly contact me at ehoff@townsendma.gov. Because we're down to 30,000 out of 200.
But you have to have the 30,000 under a contractor to make sure that your warranty stays.
That's
Correct.
correct.
It has to be a contractor that is, has
Specialized in
been,
that field,
Mhm.
right? Okay.
yeah.
So when does the warranty start ticking?
So once we build it. Once we
Oh,
build
so
it,
the equipment can just sit there?
Yeah, the
And
equipment,
the,
there
and
are
it doesn't
there-
change the warranty?
no, we do have some time sensitive materials, that we have to be aware of,
Mhm.
but we have more than enough time to worry or
Okay.
manage those. So yeah, I'm targeting, again, $30,000 isn't a ton comparatively to what we've already done. So I'm in that push right now. Now that I've got, my board has met to iron out summer, and that'll be going out the door as soon as Unipay finishes finalizing my transactions. Now my focus is I want to get this done because I want it built for the summer.
Now, is this gonna be money making?
No, it's free. It's free to the town. That's the whole idea behind it. Certainly we can hold classes, but it's self-sustained in the sense that it has instructions on the board. There's QR codes. There's an online program that goes along with it. There'll be trained ambassadors within the town, that's volunteers, that'll actually be trained by NFC to give classes for free. And it is free for use, so.
Does that clear up whatever rumors are going
Yeah, I'm not
around
sure
the
what,
town?
I haven't heard any
Yes.
rumors, so.
Yes, it does.
It
not-
clears up.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
I
mean,
didn't,
I
I
think
wasn't
it's
aware
better-
of any.
Well,
So,
there were, so thanks for
yeah, you're welcome.
bringing that up. I mean,
Yeah.
unless you want people to talk about.
No,
Jeff, but,
I mean, no, not at all. It's, like I said, it's an incredible program. We've been working with them on and off for 5 years to get this done because it's a free resource for the town.
Who are they?
And it's just amazing. The National Fitness Board,
Oh,
their
okay.
entire program. And it's the only one of its kind with the kind of infrastructure that it has. We can create corporate teams. Fire department and police department can have teams. The high school can be utilizing it. Senior center can be utilized. There's specific for seniors. There's specific for handicap. I mean, it's really so inclusive and cutting edge to what's offered out there. And Massachusetts already has, I want to say there's probably a dozen here in Massachusetts already. And Massachusetts Blue Cross Blue Shield is a huge supporter, and one of the grants that we received as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Thank you.
And if you can't tell, I'm very excited about it. Because there's a couple of other things that I want to, that will bounce off of that going forwards, having that fitness court in place. So it's a couple of the longer range plans are part of that, which makes it, again, very exciting.
Just going to jump back to
Sure.
labor. On the top line for your salary,
Yeah,
when I look at the numbers, it's looking like a 6% increase. Because it says that FY 25 is 57,583, and they proposed for FY 26.
did I math wrong, Nelson? Did we math wrong?
So, like, and again, if we take that 57,583 and look at the BBA, it says 57,652 for the year.
Sure, I
So
might have
those numbers are there, but if I jump, I took and copied out your math sheet for your exercises.
Yeah,
When I look at the current rate of 34.53,
yeah.
I just did your numbers. I took the 30,
Oh, thank
32 hours weekly out here, multiplied it by the weeks. And this year for FY 25, I'm seeing 59,
Did we
88.
cut that last year? Is that why? So I pulled this from last year's
Yeah.
submission.
But
We must have
and-
changed it off.
right, so
It should be whatever the 4% raise is, that's it, period. So
Well-
whatever that is that's what it should
Well,
be.
but that becomes my next little piece.
Mhm.
If I look at the current rate and a raise of 4%, that's $1.38 an hour. I get $35.91, not $35.23.
I pulled that right off of our spreadsheet, the matrix, union matrix
Let-
spreadsheet.
I'm looking.
Can you check that,
I'm
Nelson?
looking
I'm
at-
wondering
Yeah.
if, I might
You
have
might have
gotten-
had the wrong.
I might have
fiscal
gotten the
year.
wrong fiscal year numbers,
Well, it
sorry.
does get confusing.
That's okay.
I know, I'm
Like
like,
four
we're kinda-
five, six,
No,
seven.
and that's why, hey.
No,
we-
thank
We have
you.
the questions, we look at the review, because if,
no, I appreciate it.
so the FY 26 seemed to be the right number, it was the FY 27 number,
Yeah,
that,
Well, the FY 25 number that's
25.
in here for current / annum is incorrect based on.
both,
mhm.
Yeah.
based on the base
I must-
rate. But-
Yeah, and of course, if I started with the wrong number, then all of them are gonna be wrong.
But
You are
if-
absolutely
if I-
correct.
Right, but if I look at the FY 25 pay,
Yeah.
like I say, if I highlight the current plus the additional, the numbers down in the lower corner.
Yeah, I see
It's
that.
35.91.
Yeah, I see that.
Which is very close to what Rob had, he, 30 on. And the supervisor, so that's
Yeah,
where I was going, you,
yeah. Have grabbed the wrong, I must have had the wrong spreadsheet.
But-
Or the
but-
wrong ma-
and again, I copied it out because it was signed,
No,
and I
no.
couldn't.
Thank you.
It just.
No, thank you. I
wanna-
appreciate it. I obviously, like I said, it looks like I went off of one and
Yeah.
it threw all of my numbers
Right.
down.
So let me get back to this. I took,
Thank you.
and then I also had the. $2,084. For those numbers, and again, it's kind of like when I go back and do that
Is that-
comparison,
I feel
the
like,
number for
Where's that?
FY 25 would be low in the BBA, in the current budget.
I feel like there was one in between that though.
Excuse me?
Maybe that was on, it must have been an old matrix. I'm pretty sure there was one in between and that's the 35.
The
23.
35.
That's the next step up.
Okay,
That's the next step.
so, but
Okay.
not the additional 2 that was part of the union matrix. Is that what you're saying?
This takes into account yeah, this would take in all that into it. The 2% COLA and the 2%
Yeah.
step. So I mean, you clearly,
Okay, the 35-23, yeah, looks like a 2% raise.
Okay. So that matrix was off, because that's the one I used off of Melissa, so she didn't have the 4, she only had the 2 in the increase.
no, that step increased 2% year over year.
And then,
Because I'm looking at the FY 24, matrix in
Yeah.
FY 25.
Yeah.
And that particular step, the 3523, the year before it was 3454.
Okay.
So what's the bottom line? I mean,
Yeah,
Well,
I'm,
yeah, well,
I,
we
I
have
read
to get it
it.
right.
I
We-
I
we-
read
Yeah, I know.
something wrong.
So we should do the calculation based off what her current rate is
Okay,
and use that as a base, obviously, which is 3453.
Okay.
now, again, if we use 3453 at the current calculations for hours,
Yeah.
I'm seeing that's 59,888. Change, so 889. Like, which is higher than,
Yeah, so I did. I didn't actually do the formula off of my current and the raise. I pulled this, I left the old ones and just pulled the separate one. So my apologies on that. You guys, I should check that one. I did not. I was just like, oh, this is the next one.
So just so we have the right numbers in the omnibus for
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Because that is what we're gonna be looking at, correct? The omnibus budget on Saturday
I think so, yes.
and the recap sheet.
I can forward you this.
Thank you. I
sheet if
do.
you want.
Again, I really appreciate it. I pulled numbers without
No, it's, like I said,
adding
that,
something.
in that particular cell, I didn't find a formula, and
Yeah.
it seemed as though adding the current and the increase did not match.
Do not match.
The
Yeah.
number. That was-
Thank you. Good
but
man, Charlie.
That's what we do, yeah, we double check and see and.
Well, that's
and
why
ask
we
the
have
questions.
you. Great.
And again, when I worked for the assistant director, it's sitting at 2%, but
Yeah.
you don't have anybody in the position.
Correct.
So we're fine with just doing. Nelson, do you want me to send you a copy, what I worked on here, which was from Emmy's sheet with the.
Nope, I'm not updating
Got it,
it.
there.
Okay, you're all set.
Yeah, and I'll do mine.
So what's the number we're agreeing on for the salary? 59.
That would be current FY 25 would be the 59,889.
FY 25.
FY 25, this current year, based on the 3453 and the same number of hours and things, comes to 59,889. And again, we have to do the roundup.
But it's not in the BVA.
It's not in the BBA.
So so last year's budget is incorrect, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm, that's what I'm saying. And we found that a couple of times.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're 32? No.
32, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
32 and 6 weeks at
40.
8 weeks at 40. 8 weeks at 40. 6 weeks as
Yeah.
assistant director.
Yes, that's the 8 weeks of
Mhm.
summer,
Mhm.
before and after each of the weeks of the program.
So what number should I put in for the omnibus?
The 26?
Yeah.
62,284.
And we're just gonna keep the assistant director as is.
Yeah. There's water man, water. So any other questions for Penny tonight?
But I maybe didn't screw up.
Not about that. We want to get it right.
I can tell you about 8. Let's talk about my printer. No.
No other questions? And I guess we're good.
Yeah. Of course. Feel free to send me an email if you have any other things
Don't forget your phone.
that came. I will. Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate each of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys later.
Next, I have land use training. Probably others in there.
Where do we want to start? This summary land use
You know,
or conservation or
hang on, let's see if I can.
maybe Aaron will know.
Well, that's the thing, it's kind of like this. It's because,
I don't know. Which are we doing next?
okay,
Conservation or
we'll start.
land use?
Well, it's kind of like, I had it listed as land use. I just, when we look at the list, if we go by number, I was gonna say, is Aaron responsible for conservation, MRPC, planning board, zoning board, land use?
So that's all one there, because it's,
Okay.
and land use has its own budget, and then each of those
Right.
areas
Yeah.
has a piece
Yeah. So,
under it.
But yeah, and that's why I didn't have, and none of them are in the book that I could see.
Okay.
I didn't find any that are,
They're all on, SharePoint, but I don't know if you guys have
no,
access.
we don't have access to the SharePoint. Regular accounting, animal control, assessors, building department, communication center. EMS, police, cemetery, budget, council on aging, team up. Water, health, library, facilities, police, recreation. So we did not see any, and I didn't see any in the book. So maybe they come in later after the books were printed.
Maybe I did put it in the shared drive, but let me see how I can, so get this so that we can, yeah, I did put it in SharePoint. So I can join in on Zoom and I can
Sort of share.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, and what I'd suggest is, based on this, probably go based on the department number and just go, and I think it's conservation, MRPC, planning board, zoning board, and then land use. At least that's how it's in the omnibus
The order.
budget,
Yeah.
the order in the omnibus.
So you want to start with conservation?
And Aaron's here.
She is, I saw her. Erin, are you still there?
I am here.
Hi, thank you for being patient.
Thank you for being patient. He's so-
Hartley, could you give me sharing privileges?
And I will get out. Kick me out. So.
You need me to print anything? Aaron?
Do we
I think I heard my name, but it's hard to hear.
We're getting set up. We're gonna share your files. Mary Jane, Jerry, do you want hard copies of these department?
I would,
Or
but
just,
I don't have to do it now.
or just,
Really have to Saturday would be great.
Yeah. okay, you got that? Thank you.
Okay, so this is a conservation line, I'm the Department 171. So
That's a different number. Oh, that number includes the clothing allowance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
This-
would rather see that split out.
it's kind of like the summary sheet usually had more lines on it, so that you would associate with each of the individual items, the longevity, so that you could see the salary and all the other pieces that make up. the
It
total
is
compensation.
in the labor.
It is, yeah.
So this is the labor detail.
Mhm.
There's just one conservation agent.
I will ask the question about the clothing allowance. That looks like the old, which is,
Oh, no, it's a different,
it's a different,
different union.
different.
So
Okay.
this is clerical union versus supervisor.
Okay.
Just,
No, that's the basis.
that's the reason, yeah. I think when you look at land use,
Mhm.
that's supervisors, and there should be a new 50 there. Should be.
So it's,
I do have a question though.
sure,
The BVA has a salary for last year at 39,661. So did we increase it when we advertised the position? That was a position that was empty for a long time.
actually, it's actually one of the positions that was partially funded through ARPA. I think it was, if I remember correctly,
For
5
extra
hours.
hours, yeah.
Yeah, it was 5 hours of this position was going to be funded by ARPA.
Okay, so it got rolled in. Is that what happened?
Yes.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Yep.
Do we know what step?
What is that?
Is it E?
It's, yeah, he's a grade E.
Okay. Do we know step?
That is a step 8.
Thank you.
But yeah, there's only one person in that department, if you want to call it that. He gets a clothing allowance and his COLA and step. And then, you can jump to expenses.
So this is level funded from last year, as I understand it. Based on the budget that I had last year, I level funded it.
This is outside of the expenses and all that good stuff. There's a special town meeting article that was put in play last spring. Conservation Commission education, that is for the Conservation Commission to educate the public about conservation, not for the education of the agent themselves. Just if you're looking at the BVA. Yeah.
Is it a different account number? Or is it still?
It's an article. It's
I
the
see.
same, yeah, it's still under 171. It's just an article in the BVA. You'll see it.
It's not in mine, so we didn't get full. Sometimes they run with just the expense funds and not the articles.
Okay. Other than that. I think the training conference stuff went down.
I was gonna say, I'm looking at this, I've got 2250 is the total in the PPA for the expenses.
This one is also 2350 as well.
Okay. But in, can we go over it? It's kind of like I've got professional services at 500, office supplies at 500, mileage in-state at 350, training conference at 500, and dues and memberships at 500.
This is different.
Oh, yeah, it's a little,
So if the numbers are off, it may be because I was using the last budget that was in the last edited budget that was available. Because I thought that was probably the most up to date. That might have been one that was there had been a request to reduce spending for if there was a possible budget cut. So it may have been that I used those budgets for all of those.
right. And I was gonna say, looking at it, what I see is different is you, on the one you've presented, advertising, printing and postage is there for 300. It's not in the current. But it makes sense that you would post, maybe have posts for mailings for hearings. So it all seems, is that something that conservation would do, is post and use postage to send out mailings when there's a hearing?
Yes, they do. They use the postage and the mailing to send out notices on hearings, notices to abutters, things like that.
And also a newspaper, you gotta advertise that as well, so that would be part of that. But yeah, what's in the BVA, it's level funded.
Yeah.
It is from a high level. It's just that the categories are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. Professional services over here, 500. There are no office supplies. Well, no, there are 500.
It's 500, but none expended to date.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's because we didn't have anybody in that place until recently. So, anyway.
That says something we can continue to watch, and again, that's the training conferences for the board and the. It is level funded, it's just redistributed the money into the different. It's an additional category from our.
I'd probably just stick with the way it's laid out in the omnibus and the BVA. would we like to move on to the next one?
Anybody, any questions?
Good.
Okay, we're
So it's, the next one is this line here, MRPC dues and memberships. This amount for 3475. Every year they send us a letter of what the dues.
what the actual,
Yeah, so that amount is taken directly off of their letter that they provided to my office.
And we get a lot back. The town gets a lot back.
right, and, yeah,
Being
there
a
are,
member of MRPC in the grants that we've gotten. Planning board.
no questions on MRPC, that's it, because in the organization. Board. Department 165.
So this is the summary for the planning board. Maybe start looking at the labor.
Detail on
Labor. So there's a planning board admin. She's at 25 hours supporting the planning board. So that's her. It's just their step and COLA. She gets a longevity stipend per.
And it's at 5 years.
Yeah, I think she's. Yeah, I think at 5 years. You get it.
Yes, the 500 is for 5 years.
She's not clerical. That's it for labor.
Yeah.
And then on the expense side,
It's lower than last year. The expenses last year were 1,950.
Yep.
It's professional services that are kind of cut in half from 1,500 to 800.
So once again, I took these from the from the previous land use coordinators budgets folder. So these may have been when we were trying to reduce expenses.
But you know what, Aaron, you might be good with what you've put in because nothing has been spent as of the 5th of February.
So I think that
spent from the expenses lines at all for planning board.
I believe what usually happens is everything comes out of land use. And then once that kind of runs out, this is my understanding. Once that kind of runs out, then they start to look at, okay, where do we need to start pulling from? But I have not been in this role long enough to really know how the inner workings of the budget have worked thus far.
Yeah. So let me go up to land, well, down to land use. Yeah, even there, Well, the land use has not had a busy year this year. I mean, some.
We have
parts
had a lot of open seats.
Yeah, yeah. Travel seems to be the, but other than that, not a lot used. So I think maybe what you submitted is fair game, but whoever is submitting this, we need to remember that this budget has already been cut in half.
I think also that when all the seats are filled and we are able to actually complete more work for the town, that we're going to be using more funding to provide those services. So I would be hesitant to use what we've done in the past year, because I don't know, 4 or 5, I think it was 3 months, I was the only person in the office as Beth was out for a little while. Conservation agent was out for much longer. And Jessica had been gone for, I think, several months before I was hired into the position. So there was quite a while there where I was the only person in the office. So I wouldn't necessarily use what we've used in the past year as what will be used in the coming year.
Fair game.
So did you want to use Erin's numbers or just sort of level fund everything?
I think use Erin's numbers for next year. I mean, if we are going to level fund, we should up it to 1,500 on professional services. But I don't know, it seems fair.
I'm just looking at the omnibus and,
I would keep that at 800. I would. The professional services and the planning board. It is a cost.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad thing.
Okay.
And then if in fact everything works out positively, we can up that next year.
she dropped the office supplies as well for a total of 1125. So I just need to take another.
We have had quite a few things that are coming into the office recently that might start to kick things up. So I would be hesitant to pull from the professional services too much, as we might have some different items that are coming forward that are going to require those professional services.
Maybe 1,000 there. I don't know.
We go for 1,300.
Level fund it until we need to, until we have to change it.
Okay.
Might be the best way to do it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Also, all the fees have been increased as well this past year for people who are, you know, getting permits and have to come before planning. So that raises funds for what they're doing.
Right.
By the same token, you know, we have to make sure we have covers for public notices, too. Again, we're supposed to collect the money for that. That will cover whatever expenses are, but they don't show up here because the income doesn't show.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's just leave it level funded and go from there.
Agreed.
CBA is 176. If we want to just follow the order in the.
Yep. And for ZBA is just literally one item. It's Beth, who is the planning board. She's the planning admin, but she also has a few hours dedicated to the zoning. So, that's where, that's the only expense.
Generally hand in hand.
Just, yeah, her 2% step and 2% COLA. Land uses next.
That's 179.
That posted?
Yes, it is. It was internal for a week and then we posted it externally.
Okay.
So the land use coordinator, the land use department. So there's the land use coordinator, which is a department head. That's currently Aaron. It's a 30-hour week position. Beth, who, as you recall, was planning as well as ZBA. She also has a couple hours assisting with land use. Just to get some
Yeah, right.
extra coverage.
She's done that for quite a bit. In the last 5 years, when we didn't have anybody else.
Right.
Before Jessica.
Yep. So I think that was sort of the agreement moving forward, that she would have a couple hours a week assisting land use.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Which definitely has been helpful because that office hasn't been fully staffed in quite a while.
For a long time, yeah.
And then further down is the
grants portion, yeah.
Grants portion, yep. There's a housing portion but that's another budget that we would talk about. This is, the grants position is 9.5 hours per week for the grants.
Which we don't have right now.
Or
is it this week, whatever.
Yeah, we have the candidate accepted, so they're just going through the hiring process at the moment.
We don't have one.
Yep, yeah, Aaron and Veronica interviewed.
We interviewed.
Okay.
Yep. So that grants person is at 9.5 hours, and that's under the land use budget.
When are we appointing that person?
I believe next.
Yep,
next
at the
meeting.
next select board meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Just a question on that. I'm looking at the BBA and had a clothing allowance. I'm assuming that's for the land use coordinator.
I just looked at the contract, and there wasn't a clothing allowance for the land use coordinator.
Okay. And
I just pulled that contract up because I wondered about that.
It might be for, let me see if Beth would have anything.
Beth is under planning board. I don't think you got one for each of the different because they're part-time. She does get one for planning, I think.
Conservation administrator.
That's the agent.
but there's a conservation.
We combined these two positions, so it's just the agent at this point.
Okay.
Go to supervisors.
So that's Colby now, right?
Yes, it's called. And that should be a 600 on that one.
The clerical,
For clerical.
yes, it's 600. So under supervisors, under clothing.
It is in the BVA, but I didn't see it in the.
I didn't see it on the detail. No.
I don't see land use coordinator on here.
Right, so it's correct, the way Aaron submitted.
But
And again, that
Is
could have
that
been
correct though?
changes.
Is that, yeah, no,
No clothing allowance.
But you would think it kind of makes sense, at least someone would get it because they're on the field a lot, looking at site.
It's not in the
Site
CBA.
I know, I'm just saying, because they're out there like mucking around and the wetlands and things like
It's all
that.
bargained,
Yeah.
so if it's not there, it's not there,
Yeah, so,
and we're not putting it in. Unless it gets rebargained,
Yeah, so,
I don't know. I think that's just, everything was redone last year, correct? For these, so we're in the second year of a 3-year contract, I believe.
correct.
And so it's possible that it was different prior than what it is now.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm looking at the FY24's BBA and the clothing allowance is not on there, but it suddenly appeared.
Yeah, I think it's just an error.
Yeah, all right.
That's what I think.
I will.
So
take it
we
off.
have 850 for free cash at the end of the year, unless we use it
What
for
if any-
something else in the meantime.
Yep, so I'll take it off of the FY26 request since it looks like an oversight.
I didn't think it was on the FY26 for land use.
No, you're right, I just, I had to put it in under. my-
Oh, automatically,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, it might have just propagated from when you pulled the old file. Yeah.
No, so, the FY26, column there, I hand entered everything,
Oh,
so, I must have plowed through that one.
automatic.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
we can talk about land use expenses. And I think this was also, another area that, no, actually, I think, I was worried that Aaron had used some, numbers that were severely cut down, but it didn't look like that was the case.
No, but that's showing 6,200 and what, 53, 5350.
Yeah. So,
Well, there's a clothing allowance tossed in here, materials, operation, supplies and expenses. I think that goes
I
away.
don't know if I took that off, if it is level funded, 5350.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know why that clothing allowance just keeps appearing everywhere.
I think the clothing allowance was a note from the past, so I wouldn't necessarily say that that is what that is used for.
Oh, okay.
I think I was asked to submit this the day that I started in the position, so I kind of rushed to get it completed. I apologize.
Yeah, I think because 5350 was what it was last year,
Yeah.
so that would be,
That's a level fund.
yeah, that's a lot of
On
fun.
everything else.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, we're good.
let's see. Is would the last thing be housing authority?
Housing authority and
Yeah,
housing
so-
trust.
That's the last thing again. Yes, so, we can let Erin go.
the authority either. Do we have housing authority?
Well, keep Aaron because the housing
Housing
is
trust.
under land use.
Okay.
And the job is paired with the grant writer.
Okay.
So it covers
So the housing
the two
trust.
boards.
Yeah, the housing trust was not on the,
It wasn't.
It's a question about how it gets,
This is the housing.
we'll talk
trust.
about it. Let's go to the housing authority
I know
first.
what that is, yeah, I saw the authority.
I didn't see the, whatever.
The housing authority is
I saw the
in,
housing
is it in here? Yeah, it's in
Housing
the, it's in the
authority.
SharePoint. But you guys can't see the SharePoint.
It's,
authority. This is the housing trust. Communicate.
so the housing authority is Department 525. And, so this one, this would be, the grant coordinator, the other half of their pay comes from the housing authority, budget, as well as.
And the housing trust.
So right now you'll see that it's budgeted at 4.5 hours. The other 4.5 comes from the housing trust money. So that adds up to 9. And I think the other position was another
10 hours.
9.5.
9.5. So,
Okay.
so that's 18.5, Erin, is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
So,
So who does that?
that would
The
be
new
the,
person.
the housing, that would, the grant coordinator / housing coordinator. I'm sorry, the grant writer.
Is that the person that you're gonna,
Okay, that you
Appoint.
now hired.
that you've hired or appointed or whatever you do?
We interviewed, so we're gonna appoint. them
Oh,
at
so
the-
you interviewed.
Yeah, we're gonna appoint them at the next, select board meeting.
So where does the housing director come from?
it's,
There is no housing director at this point. There's a,
No, there's no housing director.
No housing.
we would love to have a housing director. but
Yeah,
we
how
don't
would you
have one.
direct?
Well, there isn't a need for one yet, so.
So it's in the budget anyway?
No, it's in
No.
27 and 28.
Oh,
It's a dream.
I stopped looking at the years.
We keep moving it out year to year to year, so,
So there's no house.
correct. All right, so are we done with housing authority?
There's some expenses, with.
Are they what you've been doing?
I'm not the housing authority, so
Oh, I'm
that's
looking at
Natalie and
sorry.
Jack. We don't have an active housing
Well, we
authority.
don't.
There's nobody on it?
Well, there isn't a quorum on it.
We need more
We
people.
need people to run for it and nobody's pulled papers.
Oh, it's a elected position.
Mhm.
No, I'm not putting your name in.
Or a written in position.
So this looks like a cut from prior.
Yeah, this one would be,
Well, there's nothing going on.
the budget is 2,500 and Erin has put in 1,800.
Oh,
Right.
it used to be 5,000.
It's a
the
700,
700 for training.
yeah. That was 1,400, I believe.
Training is 1,000, office supplies is 1,400. No, office supplies is 1,000 there.
Training is one thing that would be very useful. There are a lot of conferences that are available to the housing authority, as well as they've looked at working with some other organizations to try to learn how to become a better housing authority when they have housing to oversee. So I would, like I said before, I used a budget that was provided previously, but I would probably have plenty of money in the training, possibly more than the office supplies. There hasn't been a huge need, at least in the last year, that I've seen for office supplies for the housing authority.
So I would up the training to 1,400. If we're gonna level fund, I would swap the office supplies and the training and keep the office supplies at 1,000. That's what training was prior, and make the training 1,400.
And even though we don't have a person there, we should keep a person there if they ever get a full board.
But we do have a person, the person that we're hiring for March 5th. They'll use the office supplies. They'll use the.
Okay.
So,
but won't be doing anything for the housing authority.
Not at the moment until we get people in there. Okay, now are we done with that one?
Housing. Did you want to send it to me and I can screen share it? You had sent it to me.
I did send it to you. Do you have it? If not,
We have
it. Okay.
From the SharePoint,
Okay.
do it up from the SharePoint.
I was looking it on.
I was gonna put it in this afternoon and then I thought I'd mess you up, Sabrina, if I popped it in there, so I didn't.
When I was interim there.
It wasn't in there last night. Okay, so this probably isn't in the BVA and it probably isn't in the omnibus budget. It's been,
I think it is.
I'm gonna talk for just a minute, Aaron, and then you can talk if you want, or I can do it either way. But the first year that we had a budget, which was probably 2023, 2022, 2023, it was put in and then zeroed out because the funds came from ARPA. And then I think it was last year, Eric decided not to put it in at all because the funds weren't coming from the general budget, and they're still not coming from the general budget. You know, so it becomes a question of how do you deal with it. So we do have a report in the annual report. You did get that, right, Sabrina? Yeah. So, but we do have a budget, which we haven't expended totally every year. So when we first did this, and it's in our 5-year plan, when we first did this, we mirrored what the housing authority did, and then added other things that we knew we would need. So should I keep talking, Aaron, or do you want to talk?
Go ahead, you're doing great.
Okay, jump in anytime.
Sure.
All right, so the first one, the amount, I just, that should match exactly what's in the housing authority. I just did 4% over what was there before and made it 47.84. I think it's pretty close to what the housing authority has for in the omnibus for next year. But anyway, that's because it's the same administrator. We don't, eventually the hope is that we have enough housing and the housing authority is in place that we hire a housing director, but we're not there yet. So poof, out of the way. Office supplies, We started at 500 2 years ago, and I just increased it by $25 to 550. We do use some of that, I think. Registry fees, that's different from the Housing Authority because all resignations, appointments, pretty much anything that the trust does by bylaw has to be reported at the registry. So every year we do a filing at the registry. And so.
Because you're a trust.
Correct. So I have to get together all the appointments and the resignations. Like I resigned from my regular, but now I'm appointed as the person for the select board. So that needs to be filed. So we try to do an annual filing at the registry. And there are a few other things that need to be done. So I put 2,000 there for registry fees because we have an easement with the water department that hasn't been registered, a few other things like that. So anyway, pre-evaluation and development. We haven't used those funds the past 2 years because we haven't had a housing concept. We now have a housing concept, so we are planning to hire a land use attorney and perhaps a consultant to help us with the process of bringing that concept to fruition. So that's why the 50K is there. It wasn't expended prior. Training, we have at 1,000, at travel at 150. And we did use the training last year for the conference. There's a Mass Housing Partnership conference every spring. That's excellent. So anyway, so that's where we are. So the funds right now are from what was obligated by the town from ARPA funds, and future funding comes from any forestry that we do, and any inclusionary zoning bylaw funds, should that become a bylaw for the town, and any CPA funds once that's in place, if in fact that's a project that the town wants. So.
And even that 50,000 that's there in the budget, it's actually money you already have. It's not money that's going to be raised. That is correct. It's nothing that needs to be raised by the town at this point in time. So it doesn't really show in our budget as needing funds. That's why if you look at the BVA or you look at the omnibus budget that was in last year's annual report, you won't see the housing trust. However, if you look at 2 years ago, like our first reporting was FY 2024, and Eric did put that in, but then he zeroed it out, which, right. And so last year he decided, yeah, no, don't do that, just don't put it in, because we're not operating as we really are a separate entity from the town. Our funds will never come out of the general budget. Right. So, and we have to find a way to raise funds that are other than. So whether that's selling land or doing forestry on the land or whatever, we have to find another way to raise funds. So,
trying to think, does the housing trust also need to be audited on an annual basis?
It's done through the regular audit for the town. Yes.
So it's not part of the town, but it's an expense the town pays for the audit too.
It's part of the town's audit.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I mean, obviously it's not a big part.
No, it's not a big part, but I would think we should have at least a separate indicator in it in the report from the auditor.
Perhaps, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at it. I don't recall seeing it in the audit report.
I mean, if they end up charging additional for that particular item, then I suppose it could come out of your budget, but
right.
Yeah.
No,
right.
What's going to be
$100,
$200, $200?
Right. It could be. It may already be included in it, but it's not something that bubbles right up to the top as a memory.
That's it. Any questions? And I guess a decision has to be made. Do we just handle it the way it's always been handled? Not that, you know, it's been handled two different ways in 2 different years. So, you
I
know,
think it's fine, not in the budget.
it should
really is
not
a separate
be,
entity.
put in there that it looks like it's part of the general budget because it's not, and it should never be. So it is a trust, not any more than the Amanda Dwight funds or any of those get put in. They don't.
Yeah.
So they're separate.
Right.
Now, are we gonna look at the schedule for Saturday?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
All right, so are we all set then with land use?
We're all set
So
with what
Aaron,
the agenda's called
Yeah.
for.
thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Aaron.
everyone.
Have a
Good night.
You too.
We have a meeting on Thursday at 6 p.m., right?
Yes.
Correct.
We have a meeting tomorrow, Veronica.
Yeah, for capital,
Right,
yeah, 4:30.
4:30?
And is every,
Mark will be there, you know.
doing
Mark will
10:30
not be
tomorrow
there.
morning?
I know.
You said it was with Guardian?
Certain people, I believe, weren't able to make it.
Okay,
But whoever was,
okay,
part of that previous team, they've all been invited,
okay.
so,
All right, so Saturday,
yes.
You have those rating sheets.
do I have them?
I don't.
They're in the policy. I don't know if I have them.
Get away with one, can we? Can't we just?
Where are we gonna put Board of Health for Saturday? Obviously, we have to have discussion with them.
Let's see, Board of Health has a couple.
You have what?
They're across a couple of different sections. They're under, now, when we had, oh, yes,
A quick question, did you get, any of the budget revisions that you requested from the department? Did you get all those?
I didn't get them. I didn't know if they were responded to. I know Chief Sartell had provided updates to them. I don't know. I didn't look at the CC list to see who else was copied on it, but I'll get them. Carla had sent some changes in for Board of Health. I think everybody was.
So are we going over that Thursday night?
We can go over it, but I sort of put I put together the list. We can't see it up here, but I took all the lists of all the departments, and I put names beside them to identify who might be the responsible board. The animal inspector had come up during the Board of Health, so I have a question behind if that's going to be a Board of Health thing. I know it's sort of an open question. There wasn't a lot that we did with it, but are we going to leave that with Board of Health right now?
The line items that we needed to increase so we could get somebody to do the
That
board
was,
inspections?
yeah, that was the thought, you know, it's kind of like, what's it gonna be? But if it's remaining with Board of Health, I'll take my question mark out and leave it assigned to them
I think it,
for now.
yeah, I really don't. So our times are 9 o'clock is fire police, correct?
Yeah,
Okay,
let
so
me,
fire is 9.
let me pull up my,
Yeah, we had fire police, they're under,
yeah, so I put it up on the screen, so,
Oh, I didn't know we had, okay, good.
Please. 9:30, what's 10 o'clock? I can't see that from here.
General government, not including the treasurer. So town clerk.
Did you do changes to the town clerk's salary?
No, I was still trying to, I saw your, notes on it, so I will change it. I still haven't gotten clarity on what that would actually look like. Like,
That's not union,
No, it's not
No,
union.
because it's an elected.
It's an elected position.
Yeah.
It's not union at all.
but I don't know
But
how
we have
much,
a new person coming in.
and I don't know how much leeway we have with that. I mean, you couldn't pay the person like $20,000, so. So
We
I-
should be good at
Yeah.
it.
But, you know,
Not that
I would
they
say
would-
maybe people wouldn't run for it at that point.
But you know, so I don't know what grade or step, it would be.
Equivalent to.
So that's what I've been trying to find out.
Well, if
What
we
we
were,
did when we adopted Collins, we took everybody's salary and town clerk was put on step F. But there's not even a job description for it.
right,
Because it is it is the only elected position that we set, the town sets the salary.
mhm,
And it can be whatever we want the salary to be. Because no elected position in Townsend is salaried by charter. Unless it's set up, unless it's voted at town meeting, annual town meeting. So there is nothing that says it has to be this grade, this anything. And what we did when Collins came in is we just took what the salary was and put it on the scale.
And-
That's what we did. It doesn't mean that we have to stay like that.
I think we need a job description. And from the job description, and we look around to what town clerks are actually paid.
Well, isn't town clerk something that's bylaw, like MGL?
No, not necessary. It's how you set it in your town. I have seen towns around that have appointed town clerks.
But no, I
But
mean,
not
as
all.
far as the job that they do.
Job
They have they have
Yeah,
the requirements of
and
reporting
something
requirements. And
statewide, municipally, you should be able to get a job description of what they do.
We don't have
Seem
to.
arbitrarily,
I don't think we
Just-
have a town, because it wasn't, I can look. Because I've got all that.
But anyways, so for general government,
Yeah.
that's 10 o'clock slot. I just had some notes on what general government actually entails. So it's select board, accounting, assessors, treasurer, legal, MIS, town clerk, all the various land use.
They use all the ones we just went through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we were talking this morning,
And
if most of these budgets have there's not too much further discussion, there might not be too much.
right,
in
yeah,
the-
like if we look at the town clerk, there's probably discussion on the town clerk, but not around what was presented around
Right.
the future.
Yeah.
Elections, registrars, street listings, we're all set. The other piece, the town clerk, is also parking clerk and burial clerk.
Those were,
Necessarily, those are appointed positions.
Those are
They
appointed
have been
positions right now,
appointed to the town clerk.
right now.
but they are,
Which does not mean that-
they're being level funded too.
They're being level
Yeah.
funded by, again, the town clerk had submitted the budgets for them.
Yeah.
As they were signed, so if that's something that is gonna go to the police in the future, if it's, because it seems, kind of, parking clerk seems like it would be associated with the police. I'm not sure what burial agent would.
They go to parks and service.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, Parks and Cemetery.
It sounds, yeah, it could be.
I think the current burial agent is actually the town clerk.
Correct, right now. It's kind
It
of
is.
like.
What do they
Town
do?
clerk right now.
What do they do?
Well, they get certificates like from the undertakers.
Record, yeah, record,
Record,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
so,
So we,
but what does that got to do with burial?
Well, it has
Well,
more to do
it-
I
with,
mean, death certificates,
Mhm.
that's under the
Right.
town clerk.
Correct.
so they don't want to call them the death agent.
Well, why
They're
do they have
calling
to
them
be
the
called an agent
burial
at all?
agent.
Well,
Well,
they-
I'm trying to figure this
They
out.
have to be able to call them something.
they, yeah, it was a title that was.
Appropriate.
But
yeah,
if you
it
give
was
that
assigned long
task
ago.
to somebody else, why does it have to be an agent?
I think it's just a term.
Is that in
I
the
don't
charter
think
as
it's
well?
anything.
Let's-
Is
I
it?
think if you look at MGL,
What would you
you'll
call
find
it? I mean,
it. Towns need to have
Would you
these
call it-
things.
I wouldn't call it anything. I wouldn't have an agent.
You would say it's just their, part of their duties.
Yeah,
Just let me, backing up to the question about whether or not we have a town clerk job description, we do not. We have one for the assistant town clerk, but not one for the town clerk, unless one has been written in the past 2 years that
okay.
I don't know about, which is possible.
Well, municipal somewhere has a, I was gonna say, tasks that are performed by a town clerk. And it also has certifications that are required for a town clerk.
That's the state. That is a state certification. So let me go. So Mass General Law, Part 1, Title 7, Chapter 41, Section 15. The town clerk shall, and it's town clerk's powers and duties, and it goes all through there. So I think that rather than writing a job description, I think you have to refer to what the requirements are by
Right.
Mass General
I
Law.
have no problem
And
with that.
that's what they do.
right.
Okay,
So I don't,
nobody's looking to reinvent the wheel.
Mhm.
right. Shall administer the oath of office,
I'm sure there's pluses and minuses.
after
to
every
both.
annual election of town officers, transmit to the state secretary on blanks to be furnished, a complete list of all town officers elected and qualified and shall.
I would start with all of that.
And this is all right here. Anyway, blah, 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 just what you have to do, so,
So that's the job description.
yeah.
I mean, I'm looking online, there are, cities and towns do have a job description, so we can, I'm not saying we,
Well,
You
we
know,
have
There
to
is
kind of
reference.
abide
yeah,
by
so, right, yeah.
what's
I
required.
mean, that could be something that Callie puts together.
Yeah.
It's just that when you do something like that, you take the chance that you miss something.
Right.
And then someone says, oh, but it wasn't in my job description. So, although you do have that catch-all at the end, and anything else.
Anything else that needs to be done.
So, but anyway,
So for under general government for, the budget summit,
Are all these people coming in or?
I don't think they have to,
No.
that's what we're trying to figure out, I don't think they have.
You know, like the town clerk's budget, it was only, the only thing I recall is there was a number in the FY 29, FY 25 column that
Right.
she put the FY 26 number.
Right.
So there was an update.
and there's the certification that was specific to Kathy, so that can
Yeah,
be
I took that.
removed.
Yeah.
And there were a few other things that I flagged.
I was gonna say,
Well,
yeah,
longevity
that's-
would be in there. And she
Correct.
has that.
Right, that would be gone.
Right.
I do have a question about,
And I mean, if you can find another town that is similar in size to us and see what their town clerk is paid,
Be
or
great.
use a couple,
Yeah,
we could
maybe,
do
yeah.
that.
just to give us an idea.
Right.
Yeah, because it's not like it has to be this or it has to be that.
Mhm.
I
As far as
just
the number,
I
no.
just went with F, step 1,
Mhm.
to because I think Kathy was up there.
But it
Step 13
certainly
is-
begs the question, obviously you're running to be an elected official, but you don't even know what you're gonna get paid.
That's right. Yeah, you don't know.
You don't
Because
know.
it's the
And
will
plus,
of
we're
the
in
town.
flux. It's only 1 year.
Yeah, it is only
Running for
1 year.
1 year.
That's
I
true.
mean, and if it works out that we do get, to hire somebody versus having elected it, then that person can apply for the job and basically already has a foot in the door.
Mhm.
Actually, what is,
We can't take the voting privilege away from the citizens. They have a right to vote.
Right, it's gotta be, the
well,
charter has to be
right, you
updated
have
and
to
registered.
work on it.
all that.
It's part of the March 10th warrant, isn't it? To discuss whether or not appointment
Right,
or elected
It is on there.
after 27.
right.
So we have a lot of background to get
So
before March 10th.
let me just.
Oh, no.
Battery ran.
That's why
Yeah.
it's plugged into an external battery now. I just wanna button up the schedule. So I think, under general government at the 10 o'clock slot, I can't think of a department that we would need to bring in. Can you think of anything, Don?
The only thing I would say, we had the brief conversation, with the Board of Assessors and the Treasurer Collector to see if there's any changes that are needed to their budgets because of the CPA. Extra work that they'll have to do, software that they'll have to buy.
Did you, ask Vicky about that?
Not when she was in, it's kind of like,
I missed her presentation.
we didn't ask at that point. I think, I had the conversation and it didn't sound like we had started any work or investigation into it at that point.
There is software regarding CPA
Mhm.
that Patriot or
Right,
whoever
yeah.
the vendor is,
Yeah.
does supply, because there's many communities now that have CPA, so they have the software.
Pretty much the software that we were gonna probably need for last year with the.
So is that a new person we're gonna have to hire? Or is it
No, no, no,
somebody-
no, no,
No.
no, no.
No, it's.
Additional work, though?
It could be additional work. There's gonna be how.
My understanding is it's not gonna be that bad. Because the software takes care of it. You become a community and the software does all of the, data that you need
Mhm.
to send out the tax bills, to have that already in it.
Yeah.
But it's a question for her. I mean, I shoot her an email and ask her about that.
And I was supposed to ask her that today, after I got off the phone with Don, but
That's,
I couldn't.
and again, we've got tomorrow, we've got, or Thursday,
Mhm.
this is only Tuesday. And.
But I think if we can get the information from them.
Yeah, then,
You know,
then not, Vicky had sent in the change with her. To hers, and I don't think there was any minor things. With Melissa on the treasurer, there wasn't a lot, she had a lot of detail behind every description of every line she had in there. And legal and MIS we're doing Thursday, probably not, land use we just went over.
I thought we were doing fire on Thursday at 6:15.
We are doing fire first, correct?
Okay.
And then finance committee, two. Counts, and then this, all the stuff the select board has, which I have listed
I
as,
have Board of Health, legal, finance, MIS.
well, that's in the select board, if you look at the select board.
That's my chicken scratch on my calendar.
Yeah.
That's what I have too, exactly what you have, Lauren.
Oh,
Not the,
Exactly.
not the
Thank you,
board
I
health.
don't know.
one.
I have Board of Selectmen,
Yeah.
Finance, Legal, MIS.
Yep, and we have fire.
And we added fire.
Fire at
to it.
6:15.
Yeah.
So do we have Board of Health too?
No.
No.
No, it was Board of Selectmen.
Board of Health,
It
yeah.
was Board of
Board,
Selectmen.
Board of Health will be on Saturday.
We have already done, we had done, Conway had come in with everything. We had a couple of changes. There was,
When do we talk about trash?
Right,
Well, we can add it as an item.
Because that's an important thing.
If there's nothing actually in general government, we could add, trash as its own,
at 10.
yeah, it's up there.
or do you want to do that at the end and move the others up? Because trash could be open-ended and delayed.
So,
Okay, that's
we
fine.
do that.
Yes,
Okay,
you're right.
Makes sense.
I'll just,
Then I put,
I'll just put it on here.
Trash talk.
Um,
I do think we should talk
Culture
about
and
town
recreation
clerk.
shouldn't take that long.
Okay.
excuse me?
Culture
Just,
and
just
recreation.
to hash out what's.
Those are pretty.
It's gonna go in.
Culture and recreation is, library, recreation, Memorial Day and flag. So, yeah, I don't think there's,
Council on Aging is part of that.
that's actually, human services,
It
Yeah.
is human
which
services.
is,
Okay.
which is a different.
What's the landfill?
Well, that's the thing, it's kind of, yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of, as I went through, public safety has a lot more things. Public safety is also the building inspector. And the other pieces are, do we want to look at the budgets we hadn't seen yet? Like, we talked with the building department, but if we didn't see gas inspector, plumbing inspector, COR weights, electrical.
We just kept those all
Um,
level.
In the building, commissioner, he said they were all just gonna be.
they're all level, so,
Yeah.
So,
Do we have a warrant yet? When does the warrant for annual town meeting close?
I think you had it as March 1st.
March 1st.
Yeah, for anyone to submit articles.
Okay.
But we have.
For the annual.
For the annual, right, so I wanna make sure that the articles like the 5,000 for the 350th or 300th, whatever it is, celebration, gets in there. We always move that every year so that we have funds available when that time comes.
2032, is it something?
Something like that, it's not that far away when you think about it. And we've been putting 5K away every year, so I wanna make sure of that.
Is that the
So
250th?
maybe it's the 250th, I thought it was 300, but yes, we have if you look at the BVA, it's in there. And has been,
What is it called?
Is it our 250th or 275?
I
I
think
thought it was the
275,
300.
I think, there's 250.
300.
I think
This
we have
year.
the 250th.
It's the
if you look,
300.
it's the 300.
We're having 250 this year.
Yeah.
Which
We're
is
doing
John Barrett's
250?
doing his thing.
Oh, well, that's Pepperell.
No,
No, no,
the
that's
Towns
two,
are-
the 250,
No,
multiple cities and
with
towns are
300.
doing.
It's a 300th committee, so I'd say it's the 300th.
Oh, okay.
It's the town incorporation.
Oh,
Right,
that-
it's different from.
Right.
Yeah, we're talking like the actual country itself.
Yeah, no, we're not.
Yeah.
No, this is for the town.
Okay, the 250th is a separate thing. then.
And it's,
Right.
Yeah.
oh, it was in here. That is not, it was all town, it's town meeting warrants.
Right.
That were all put together.
Okay. But it's,
But I can't. find
but
it.
it's not an omnibus budget, right?
No.
No,
it's an
but it
article.
is an article.
Okay.
for that.
We'll make sure we include that.
So,
hopefully we-
we're meeting tomorrow, right? I'll give you all my stuff tomorrow.
Oh, right. All right, so let's see if we can finalize the schedule for Saturday.
Is
Um,
trash solid waste? Because it's its own.
Yeah, we can.
We put in that.
Last.
That goes last.
So is there anything in general government, highways and streets, or human services, culture and recreation, or the treasurer, that we want folks to come in to discuss.
I wanted you to check the treasurer's salary because what I saw in the omnibus didn't match what was in the contract.
I think it was, I think it was just a,
Typo?
In the,
clerical.
in the BBA section or the additional
In the
change
in the omnibus budget, what
for
was,
2025?
what was in the omnibus 2026 did not match what was in the contract.
Okay.
I corrected it, but I'll triple check on that one.
Okay, I haven't looked at it since I
Yeah,
sent
were-
that.
I was
to
gonna
you.
Yeah, no, I haven't uploaded the new one yet anyway.
Okay. So I haven't looked, but, so that was, in the treasurer. And I don't know whether it matched what you guys looked at or not. I don't know, but I just know what was in the omnibus, but not what was in the.
Right, that was a new contract, maybe that was negotiated. She said she was gonna be negotiating a contract.
That is correct.
We did,
So
yep.
it's kind
And
of
we
like,
did,
so,
and it started in January,
so,
so.
yeah, so we, because of, she submitted the budget, I bet it wasn't in it.
So look at that, because there was
Changes.
some funkiness with fiscal year too, because she starts in the middle of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
So,
I just got a note from Carla. Board of Health stands firm with collecting only contract. Mass DEP supports this.
what does that mean?
It means they're not gonna go with the full budget. In other words, I mean, I met with them before that, and it seemed to me that with the increase, and there has been an increase in the purple bag sales. And this is after she said, well, it looks like they're gonna go down in the tonnage because first she said, it looks like they're gonna go down in the tonnage because people are gonna get mad about if we add a household a charge for each household. And then so the tonnage will go down. And so I said, then after we were talking for a bit, she said, well, the purple bag sales did increase. I said, well, that tells me the tonnage is gonna go up. Because I was trying to make a point of, I prefer to see the whole, everything together. And then we don't have to go with the charge of each household. And I said, by you telling me that the purple bag sales are up, the tonnage will go up. So why would we want the tipping fee? So that was my discussion before it came up here. And then they met and their determination is that they're gonna stick with the contract that they negotiated.
Well, here's the thing, do they have a suggestion for how the tipping fee is going to be paid?
Well, I guess we'll talk to them on Saturday and let them disclose it to everyone.
That would be good.
I tried to make a win-win and it didn't work, so let them have it.
Because the other option is everybody privately contracts.
Right.
That's
And
the
no, or
only
no
other
trash.
option.
You
If
take
we
the
don't
trash
have-
contract out,
Right,
totally.
trash is done. I mean, everybody does their own. If we can't,
We're not the first community that has to do their own.
Oh,
no,
no, of
A
course
lot of
not.
communities
It's just
do.
we're spoiled,
Exactly.
because it's been forever that we've had it.
Right.
And, it looks like it's not gonna be.
so, I mean, that's the other option unless we have a way to pay for
Right.
everything.
And, I mean, there could be some downsides that we, the number, if it's, everybody goes to private pickup, the trucks on the road at different times, multiple companies coming in, it's kind of like,
A little bit of a madhouse.
yeah, it could be,
Yeah.
you know, how many trucks are going in and what are the, you know, is there damage to the roads? Rather than just one truck coming in and doing the pickup.
I don't think it matters, yeah.
It does, it kind of, but,
That's
there
right.
are other,
I'm just not sure how you would quantify better.
Yeah.
You wouldn't pay them, you wouldn't have to pay a toll or,
Yeah.
some fee.
No, but it just looking at it, it's kind of like if you have multiple people being picked up, even if it's on the same day by, say, 3 different vendors, it's kind of like that's
Well,
more.
let them worry about it.
But that could be happening right now, because people have already started,
Right. But-
people that,
but
if
moving-
everybody was participating
Mhm.
in the purple bags, it might be different. Might, only might. So,
No, yes,
That's certainly, I'll say it, in front of everyone, that doing away with trash wouldn't be our first suggestion. I certainly would want to come to a compromise and.
But you'll have to find a way to
But
do it.
where does the money come
Right,
from?
That's the piece.
as we talked about earlier, before this meeting, the flat fees wouldn't work for multiple reasons. So the, I think we would have to,
You'd have to have an opt-out.
yeah,
We had a conversation with the attorney about this.
right, correct. So now how do you come up with the rest of the money then? So, we would have to be creative, looking at free cash, stabilization, which I know the finance committee doesn't like that. So those are just, those are just suggestions that is possible, but, because, I want to preserve some of those services that we've been providing to residents for a while. But I know times are tough, and if this is on the chopping block, then.
I think it's kind of like this, no override, no trash. With the override, we might be able to find funds in the budget somewhere. I mean, I really, but if there's no override, there's no trash. And there's probably, a town operating 4 days a week instead of 5. Because where else do we get the money from?
Yeah, how are you gonna
Except the school.
cut hours or?
Except the schools, right, and fire and police. Everybody else, there has to be a cut, and it's probably gonna be an across the board one, because collective bargaining agreements won't allow otherwise. Not ideal, but that's where we are, so.
So.
We can put it in there. The trash talk.
Yeah.
Oh, you made it earlier?
Trash earlier?
No, it's the end.
Make it at the end, because that is
That's gonna be,
You have to put that at the end.
that will push everybody out if we did it earlier.
So, no, I apologize for that.
Yeah, that's okay.
What needs to go before that then? That realistically we need to discuss further.
Right.
I can't really think of another.
Fire, police, where's highway? Okay, highway.
I think highway is.
Yeah.
They did a really good all the departments did all of the departments did a great presentation, so I don't.
I think that the important thing is for the departments to understand that without an override, we're looking at cuts. It's not just trash.
Right, but we're not gonna be able to figure out at the budget summit.
No, but I think everybody should leave the summit knowing that this budget, what we talk about on Saturday, is contingent on an override.
Yeah,
It's not real otherwise.
Yeah, I need to look at the omnibus and the recap, because I think even according to my calculations, we may fall short unless we get a little creative.
Which is why we have to go to those expense budgets, cut them all in half, see what that does. And we just had everybody run it through. The TEMA stuff, I think I sent that to you, the 20,000 and the 10,000, I think that has to go to free cash. I don't think that should be in the budget because it's not a recurring expense every year, I hope. you know, I thought the budget was supposed to be for recurrent things that happen every year. And so to put the 20,000 and the 10,000 in for replacement equipment, et cetera, which I agree that we need, I think that should be a warrant article for free cash. Take it out of the general government.
Fire, you know, tomorrow can, I mean,
We'll
Thursday.
talk about it on Thursday,
Yeah,
yeah.
Thursday can talk about it a little bit more.
Those items, I think, had been in there, but never at that level, so.
I have,
So about 12:30 for trash, or anytime after.
No,
then?
I think it's gonna
It could
be
be sooner.
I think it's gonna be much sooner than that.
Yeah, because really, it's kind of like, Board of Health is coming in for that. Cemetery and Parks, I don't think we had anything with Rogers.
He didn't ask for anything.
No,
no,
and,
he didn't. I have a question. This is a capital planning question. Should we be including the payments for the fire trucks in the capital plan? Or, I mean, that they are 100% covered in FY22 and FY23 in the capital plan. Where do those payments come from?
they're in the debts, section, which is the treasurer, but I think there needs to be really a running list in the capital equipment that shows how many years.
How many
it
years
is.
we have left
So,
and
yeah,
stuff
how
like
many
that.
years you have left, because if you, as you go to approve new capital equipment, are you gonna be able to do it with that, or is there nowhere else to squeeze any money from?
That's because of the plow. I was trying to figure out, are we gonna borrow all the money for the plow? If in
I thought
fact
we were
we
going
vote
to,
for that.
I thought we were gonna go into a lease.
We are gonna do a lease, but
Okay.
we have a lease for the fire trucks too. We have to pay
Right.
payments.
Right,
Well, it's payment on debt. So are we gonna, if we do a lease, then we are committing to 5 years of this 60, however, K.
right.
And that has to be reflected.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that too, the other day, because Melissa does have a 10 to 15 year debt schedule. You
Right,
know, some projects do end up dropping off in a few years because everything's paid for. So that kind of frees up. Well, that
And
service
makes it
for
available.
that debt service is much less that year compared to other years. And then obviously you're adding more projects over time, so you just keep moving along year after year. Typically, probably the debt service is fairly level, because once you get above a certain like threshold, you know, your bond rating may
Right.
be
You don't wanna-
may be jeopardized. But that is something that the treasurer could look at. That she should be able to run some numbers. You know, she has a general idea of what the markets are looking like for rates, and depending on what piece of equipment it is, it could be 15, 20 year, 25 year life on it. That means you can borrow for that long. So that kind of spreads out the payments a little bit. I know you'd be paying more interest over the life of the loan, but it kind of spreads out the payments over time.
I'm just going through the list and it's like, top to bottom, I think. I don't know that we necessarily need to see anybody else, or, you know, it's kind of like going through general government. It's kind of like we're gonna have select board finance committee on Thursday. I don't for finance committee, I know there's nothing, it's kind of like, it's gonna be our same two lines, staying funded for now. Accounting board of assessors, treasurer, collector, legal, MIS, town clerk, elections, registrar, street listing, conservation, MRPC, dues, the planning board, and board of appeals, which we just saw, land use and facilities. So most of general government, general government was in public safety, police, and fire. So I definitely police. I know we're going to have fire on Thursday. We need to have them follow up on Saturday
if there's
have everything.
nothing,
And team up.
right,
And communication, building department, we just talked about animal inspector and animal control.
That was two different deals, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, animal inspector is one, board of health, and the police did the animal control officer. That was part of the police review. We submitted that budget.
What was the book that they were talking about that we're supposed to be keeping?
Barn
that's
book?
the barn
Oh,
book.
that's the animal inspector, the barn book. Yep.
You have to count all the animals in town.
Well, could somebody coordinate it and do it on senior work off?
Well, the issue is there's a rabies requirement.
Oh, yeah.
That's the issue.
But isn't that a state thing that we're supposed to
Yes,
be doing?
it is a
Yeah, it's
state
supposed to be,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
so.
It is.
so we can't really get
But
around that
nobody wants to
anyway.
do it for
No,
$600.
No, well,
So that
yeah,
was the discussion,
and
that
that's,
we have to
right,
raise
and it
that.
was already in the BBA is
Right.
1,200, so there was talk on that.
Huh.
So we'll continue the animal inspector. Other towns probably have to have one, so, you know, it's just.
We went roll this. Yep.
I've actually been talking to some of my colleagues in the area, to see if we up our rates, if their animal inspector, might want to add Townsend.
That's
You know,
Well, that would be
Sure.
good, yeah.
Pepperell actually pays a lot more, but Ashby does not, so.
Yeah. Get Ashby's.
Well, I kind of asked that, but if we can increase the rate, we might be able to just have the animal control officer take it on.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
I might
Are
want
we talking 1,200 or 1,500?
12 then, right?
12 is what's budgeted. That could be a little bit low, so I feel like.
I think you have to know like how many places they've got to go with that type of thing, which would make a difference maybe. I mean, if you're going 10 places or you're going
Yeah.
45, you know,
Exactly, so it really, it would depend on. how
what
many
the
locations.
workload is, I would
Yeah.
think.
Correct. Yeah, so, because I think, if you can believe it, I think Pepperell is 4,900.
Really?
I believe it. It's got a lot,
They have a lot of.
they got a lot of horses
Oh,
over there.
They do,
Yeah.
they have a
Oh,
lot
so
of,
it's the animal count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the animal
It's the
count, not the
animal
barn
count.
count.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah, they
But
got a lot
I
of
was kind of
horses.
surprised when I heard that they paid their animal inspector almost $5,000.
And again, it would be interesting to see how many they're inspecting and see how many.
Well,
we have.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's really
So
the
the comparison.
Yeah.
Down to-
comparison
down to
is
number.
what you.
Yep, and see where it is.
Who has a record of how many animals we have in town?
There's a barn book somewhere. They used to have an animal counter.
How long ago was that, do you recall?
Oh,
I think the last one was probably 5 years ago. I don't think we had one.
I don't ever remember.
Oh, no, we did.
Yeah.
Up until maybe 2020.
Oh, well, the, dog officer, animal officer used to do it.
No,
No, I don't.
Oh,
no.
I heard from the Board of Health that that's who did it until they started the rabies thing. And that's why she said, no.
So,
No,
or
no, no.
it's kind
That's
of like.
why everybody said no.
So it sounds like somebody that's doing it in another town would be the best bet. So highways and streets is highway, snow and ice and street lights. It's pretty soft. Then solid waste, really didn't have, solid waste with Board of Health is gonna be the big conversation. The rest of Board of Health, for the Board of Health, I'm sure for Board of Health, landfill engineering was all fine. Council on Aging. The Veterans Agent, we probably have a question, but we can probably get
I
that
did
done.
have a question about that.
I think, who was it that spoke, you say you spoke to Natalie? It was level funded, but I think we had questions on what some of those services might be.
Right, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the veterans benefits, other services.
How much is that?
It's 75,000.
75,000. I think some of it is supplied by the state. When you get the breakdown of all the money we're getting.
So I feel like maybe the budget summit might not be meeting with department heads again, but maybe it's, we go through the omnibus as a group and, take a look at the recap sheet, to see what that might look like.
Right.
I know, I know in the recap sheet, there are items that, we don't have information for, because a lot of it, some of it involves money coming back to us. I think like the reading room, Title V, a bunch of other fees that sort of gets put back into the general fund.
Right.
And that's what, those are some of the variables I've been playing around with to figure out whether we're, you know, whether we are under budget or over budget. Yeah, so I think maybe that might be the general framework of how the budget summit might work out.
Yeah, that makes good sense. It's kind of like the recap would be good because being able to see how where there may be a gap. Part of that, do we bring in what we did this year in order to balance the budget and get it where we are? Yes.
Can you just read down who is coming, when, and, what is scheduled?
It's on the screen. Oh. It's on the screen.
You can see that on
Yeah.
the.
9 o'clock is fire, 9:30 is police, 10 a.m. general government, not including treasurer, town clerk, 11 a.m. highway and streets, human services, plus landfill. Noon says culture and recreation and treasurer, and trash and solid waste is after that.
Yeah, that's what I have, but I wanted.
Yeah, I think we were.
Government, which departments, because we left some out now.
Right, but I thought we were just actually talking about bringing everybody in and doing the omnibus. Or are you still doing them in their groups, like that, so that everybody's not seeing the whole omnibus? So we bring in all general government.
No, I was thinking as select board and finance.
Finance.
Yeah.
And then the others can come, because you're gonna be asking people to be there all morning,
Right, that's what I was.
everybody to be there all morning.
Don't wanna do that.
I don't know.
I don't even think,
They're gonna have to sit through all that at the town meeting.
I don't think that, like I said, I don't think they even need to be at this budget summit, because everything's.
Except trash, board of health should be there.
Right, that's the big one.
Fire and
Fire and
police, although we're
And-
talking to fire on
And highway.
Thursday.
And highway.
And highway.
You want highway? Okay.
Well, to me, highway is just as important as fire and police. I mean, they're
Well, the
out
roads,
there, you know,
snow.
plowing and fixing roads and
Oh.
in an accident, they're out there cleaning up after everybody
Of
and.
course.
Yeah, but Jim came in with the
Oh,
other,
you had it, yeah,
right, but the other two haven't been in front of us yet.
that's
Fire
correct.
and police have not. Well, police has.
No, they sent
Oh,
They sent files and a little more, there was a little more, detail with this.
Okay.
They were the only department that did the budget introduction letter.
police?
Police, yeah, kind of, and so there were a few questions on a few of the, lines for detail, but that was about it. And we had one of the major questions on the labor side was, the special education stipend for Lieutenant Peach. And whether it was included.
Now.
When do you meet with the school again? Are we meeting with them again?
No, tomorrow is their vote.
Tomorrow is it?
night at 7. It's the school committee vote on the budget.
Okay.
So I'm thinking it's the police and fire, then do we do Board of Health for trash and then visit the omnibus?
Yeah, I think that's.
So put it back up there to move it down. So do it at 10 o'clock.
I'm just gonna.
What attend the omnibus?
No, the trash and solid waste.
Oh,
And then, say 11 o'clock.
so you're gonna send the email out to everybody? Nelson?
Yes, at this rate, there's only a few people on the list.
And then if all the questions with fire are answered then on Thursday, then that's it. We can drop in from start at 9:30 instead of 9.
Correct.
And we're taking out the highway and
Yeah, so everything on the bottom here, I'm just keeping it here, but it's not really gonna be.
You got highway in
see.
it?
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Not as coming
okay.
in.
We should start, the omnibus starts with general government, correct?
Yes, yep.
So let's move general government up from where you have it at the bottom there. If we're doing the omnibus budget and review, it should be general government, highway and streets, human services, culture and recreation.
Well, I just said omnibus, we're just gonna go in order, and
Right.
so it's just a catch-all. I'm not looking.
Yeah.
We're gonna like start from the very top and just work our way down.
Right. I would, are you leaving that 11 a.m.?
No, there's all this stuff in the bottom here.
You're gonna go,
Yeah,
take that out.
I'm gonna get
Okay,
rid
okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess on the bottom of the omnibus, and the last things, the debt and the insurances. Do you think when we collectively talk about the debt or any of the insurances that she covers, or do you have all the insurances?
I have them all covered. We're still
Okay.
trying to work on a few angles there, but I think the increase that we've seen is it's right now the health insurance is going to increase by 15.4%. We're actually working with the agent right now to maybe tweak some things here and there, maybe get that 15.4 down a couple percent. I think we were talking about, we weren't looking to increase co-pays or anything like that, but more for like certain specialized services, things like that. Just to, if we nip and tuck a few things, we might save a 1 or 2%. Grand scheme of things, it's not a ton.
But that would, anything helps
Right.
at this point.
Right.
So,
1% is maybe like, 12,500. Because I'm budgeting almost
12,500, that's all?
because
Just the health.
That's at 1%.
because I'm budgeting almost $1.25 million for health insurance for next year. That's a lot.
that's a lot.
It is. I mean, it was over $1 million this fiscal year, 1.08. So that's a big percentage.
Who do we have for health insurance here?
We use Maya, which is a.
Municipal?
So I think like 100.
Somebody's making big money.
Yeah, health insurance companies. Maya, I think, well over 150 cities and towns.
So just out of curiosity, what is, I know that for my own insurance, if I see a specialist, it's more money. If I see just a regular doctor, it's for a copay.
Yeah.
So how are copays running? I mean, are we paying so much that we're, killing ourselves or?
Well, the copays is one area that we might be able to, like if the copay is currently like $25, if we upped it to 30 or 35.
When I have a specialist, I pay $40. If I see a regular doctor, I pay 10.
Yeah, so if we up those copays, that could save us on premiums. It should, in theory. So those are some of the things that literally.
I mean, it's nice to think that nobody has copays, but it's not realistic.
No, if there's no copays, then,
Also, there's deductibles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You pay basically in full until you finish your deductible.
That's correct.
Yeah. So those are sort of the areas we're looking at, to, manage these expenses. I think every little bit helps. So those are the areas we're trying to get creative with to save a little bit of money. It's honestly not going to be a ton. It's 15.4%. Now we can get it to like 10%. That would
But
probably.
if we could get it to 12.5, that would be helpful.
Yeah, and that's what we're currently working with Maya to potentially do.
I just think those 10s and 20s and 30,000s, they add up.
Absolutely.
If we find them here, like the TEMA money, moving that, maybe finding 10 or 20 in salary savings because of the switch in town clerk.
Yeah.
All of those, they add up.
Yep.
And,
And that's why I think when we start looking at the omnibus top to bottom, we can start really making some of those changes that when you look at just the big spreadsheet and see how that will translate into the recap.
I sent this to you too, and it was Harrison that did the work. We, the Board of Selectmen, maybe 3 years ago, we hired Harrison to do a special project as an intern. And his job was to look at the purchasing for all those office supplies and to centralize that so that we buy office paper for everybody. And we buy pens for everybody. And we buy Clippies for everybody. And instead of having each, just having supplies. And have it managed by someone. I don't know, the town clerk's office, the assistant town clerk is the keeper of the supplies. I don't know. But we had a project to look at that. Was there anything ever done with that?
I'm sure he completed it. Harrison.
I would think, but where is the report?
And again,
Ask.
I was
Because
thinking.
a few months ago, we had a meeting at MRPC, and I'm sure I passed this along to the selectmen because they had done a study and they saved more than a third. So that information was forwarded to the selectmen.
For office supplies?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever saw that, but
well, you weren't a selectman.
I wasn't a selectman, but that was something that, there were certain cost saving things that we were trying to put
Well,
in
that kind of
place.
makes sense if
Energy
you really think about it.
agriculture, all the, solar panels on buildings that we could have solar panels on, et cetera, et cetera. And one of them was the supplies, to put that all together.
I know what you think of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll either talk to Harrison.
And it's not like they have to send it all at once. They can send it in waters.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll try to find that meeting, that email that I sent.
And
I
I
just
think it
asked-
was under Eric. I can't remember. I think it was
yeah.
under Eric
Yep.
that we did that. And we were trying to,
It had to be under Eric because he was the one that hired Harrison.
Harrison, was it Eric? Yeah, I guess it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So at the moment, I'm gonna just ping the fire police chief as well as the board of health that they should come to the budget summit, right? But if,
We might be able to handle fire on Thursday.
right.
You know, if we get
Yeah.
that done.
One less.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right, yeah, like I say, it could be a 9:30 start, but if you post it, we gotta start at 9 anyway. Tonight, but
So
start it and then go in, take a recess until 9:30.
I'm tired.
So are we, is there anything else that we have? Oh, we have to do a motion to, do payroll out of session or whatever, the warrant.
So if we're done with, work session, our next meeting is February 27th, 2025 at 6 p.m. With finance, you are posted.
We are, yeah, Only one
And
mistake.
5.2, review and assign payroll and bills payable, warrants out of session. Is there a motion?
I move that we review and sign payroll and bills payable warrants out of session.
And I second. Roll call, please.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Melissa, aye. And motion to adjourn at 9:32 p.m.
So moved.
And second, we agree. We got it? Thank you.
That's the way it is. Good night, everybody.
Good night. See you tomorrow, Jerry.
I don't have those sheets, so,
I think they're in the policy. I'll see if I have any soft copies from prior years.
okay.
And I was gonna put together, Sabrina sent me the 5-year plan.
Okay.
I was gonna update that for tomorrow and type everything in. And we have facilities coming.
Excuse me, has the meeting been adjourned?
Yes, it has
Yes, it
been.
has. Thank you, Hartley.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because tomorrow